as though he's got no bandages at all there around either of his legs. Gathered here by Bell. Bell for the first goal of the game. Peter Bell. Very much a goal-kicking small man, Peter Bell, and we've become accustomed to just that.
A real opportunist goal, Robbo. Most of the players had their back to the play because Broderick was streaming out of defence. Looked like he was going to kick the ball long, under a bit of pressure. It dribbled along the ground. And Peter Bell was facing the action. He picked the ball up cleanly and ran in unopposed to kick an easy goal.
Terrific percentage play there by Peter Bell, and we look now at the Kangaroos interchange bench dipper.
Yes, Robert Scott, Adam Lang, Brady Rawlins and Stuart Cochrane for the North Melbourne Wars. Oh, for the Kangaroos, actually.
So the Kangaroos and the Tigers all set up for the start of the game. Anthony Stevens trying to just back his way through the pack. Couldn't control his footwork. Took the ball to the ground, and it will be bounced not far from the centre circle. Kangaroos lead. They've kicked a goal through Peter Bell. Tigers just forward of the centre circle. This bounce occurring. Longmire gets it down. Chance for Ottens. Well done. Got the handball away. Daffy out wider. This is Aaron James. The kick across his left shoulder will land the ball at half forward. It bounces to the back of the pack. Now the pressure on the Kangaroos defence. Harvey goes to ground. Gets the handball away. Shannon Grant, magnificent user of the football. This is no exception. Simpson's got the football on centre wing.
And goes to the spot at centre half forward. At the back, Broderick tries to fend off and successfully did so, but the handball's been cut off by Pye. Tried to give it to Grant, couldn't quite affect it. The tackle on him by Kellaway, good. Hilton's kick went the wrong way. Still in the danger zone for the Tigers. Well done by Abraham. High tackle, free kick.
Yeah, thump to the head, Bruce.
It's a good signs for the Kangaroos early here.
Certainly is. They've had a couple of thrusts forward, playing in front, and great to see the way Winston Abraham kept his eye on the ball there.
Have another look here.
Certainly paid for that knock to the head, but it didn't look as though there was much in it from that angle, so you'd probably say that Winnie was a little lucky.
Very, I think, John. Abraham normally doesn't miss these. Bell's kicked the first goal of the match. Kangaroos lead by 7 points. Good view from behind the goal. He's careful with it. He's carefully put it through for a goal.
That really hurts, doesn't it, Bruce? When it's a lucky free kick and results in the goal, it just takes so much wind out of the Tigers' sails.
Particularly early, I think, in a match. I think the other sign was when the ball got to Richmond's half-forward line, the Kangaroos were everywhere, yeah, and no one could put a tackle on.
Well, they certainly had numbers of the ball and a fantastic lightning hand pass from Anthony Stevens. The first 2 goals have really been a little bit opportune, but this is just the start that the Kangaroos would have wanted, and I'm sure Denis Pagan would be happy thus far.
You can't believe that he got a free kick for that. So the ball to be bounced back in the centre. Ottens and Longmire. Longmire gets it down. Ottens leaves it behind when he had a second chance, but underneath all that, Adam Simpson with the football. 13 plays, 0. Very much the early stages of the match. Only the opening 3 or 4 minutes, and it's been Kangaroos that have done all the scoring. Longmire in the front position. Does a good job to do that, John Longmire. Joel Bowden can't break away, and he's being penalised.
Penalised for too long, Robbo. Spun around a fair way in that tackle.
Well, now a 50-metre penalty against Joel Bowden. Nothing going right for the Tigers.
Certainly not. This could be the 3rd goal in the space of 5 minutes, basically, that have come from innocuous pieces of play.
Yeah, now Joel Bowden obviously thought that play on had been called, and that's why he ran over the mark to have a go at Clayton, but obviously the umpire not considering he played on.
Well, it's Clayton from the player on the mark is about 45 metres from goal, so it'll take probably a 50-metre kick, maybe a 50-metre plus kick to score. Gee, he's done it well, hasn't he? He's got onto that. The Kangaroos have got their 3rd. A very good kick by Shane Clayton, and he's given the Kangaroos a tremendous boost in the middle of the ground.
Certainly are worrying signs at these early stages for the Tigers. Just hanging on to it a little bit too long. He got spun around once or twice, didn't make the effort to get rid of it, and no problems with that, Johnny?
No, I don't have a problem with the free kick, but the 50 certainly looked tough.
Do you remember that Monday night match a few years ago when Richmond kicked about 8 goals against the Kangaroos in no time? Well, tonight it might be reversed. This is a flying start. 3 goals to 0.
It certainly is. Bowden looks as though the attempt on getting the football on Harvey might have been deemed as illegal. Tigers under pressure across their half-back line. Through goes Bowden. Brilliant smother off the boot there by Harvey. Nearly own advantage. Tremendous passage of play, and a little unfortunate, but Bell, the little man, he's gone in again. Just missed to the right, and kicks are behind. Peter Bell, 1 goal, 1. Kangaroos, all the scoring, 20, lead Richmond 0. Jeff Geeshan concerns. Aaron James to kick the ball in. 3-2 to 0, early part of the first term. James to himself and then goes long, well outside his defensive 50.
Almost a centre wing. Gasper was one of the flyers there. Broderick's handball okay. Duncan Kellaway's high ball. Knight's caught underneath, did really well against Pike. Can't get an effective handball. Stevens' tackle was terrific. Evans okay. Daffy good. Campbell, this is a bit better for the Tigers. Inside 50, Richo goes early. Holland off the ground. Bouncing ball. Powell with pace. Terrific. That belts into the post. He's kicked the point. It was a great bit of endeavour. Smacked himself into the post, and thank God we've got some padding.
That was just about another Lee Matthews case, Bruce. If he hit that any harder, he would have snapped it in two. Trying to make the most out of a half opportunity, and that's what you like to see. Nothing but the ball is the main focus.
Stevens got it short from Pickett and then banked it to centre wing. Martin right up the ground. Kellaway. Little handball forward by Abraham. Handball around the corner from McKee. Holland's handball over the top. Put Kellaway under the pump, but he kept his eye on it as you knew he would. In there also with him is Harvey. Boundary throwing. Terrific signs for the Kangaroos early in this match.
What about the tackling, Bruce? Just fantastic at the moment. Just on ground level, it's just terrific. And when the side's been belted around like North Melbourne have the last couple of weeks, one thing of training, things pick up those 1%ers.
Yeah, both players there were equally as brave as one another. I think it was Harvey and Duncan Callaway. Holland leaves it for Chaffey. Chaffey, neat looking left footer towards full forward, but Martin read it, didn't take the mark. Pickett hacks it out of mid-air, back towards the middle. Matthew Knights, can he get past? No. Hand pass, maybe intended for Bowden, taken by Ottens. Ottens, a flying shot at goal, misses off to the left. Tigers have kicked their second behind.
Very unusual to see Mickey Martin drop an easy mark. I don't think he could believe, Robbo, how much time he actually had. He thought, gee, Richo must be coming soon, and he was nowhere near it.
Pickett to kick it back into play for the Kangaroos. Not a bad crowd here for Friday night football. The Kangaroos winless at this stage. Richmond, of course, one win against their name. Holland's kick goes in towards Evans. Couldn't take the mark. Powell, second chance. Robert Powell! Lovely left foot snap. Goal to the Tides. Well, the opportunity early was a really difficult one. He was brave. He had a crack at it, but on this occasion, neatly done by the small forward.
Very skillful player, Robert Powell, and he doesn't need many opportunities to put some scores on the board.
Sort of plays the Nash role that was there in the past, wasn't he? Small forward is capable of kicking goals for the Tigers.
Very much so, Bruce.
Well, the Tigers needed it, and the match is alive now. It's 3-1. Powell's early goal on Pickett. McKee in the ruck now in the centre play. Got it. Simpson booted it forward to centre half forward. Well done by James. Stevens. Bell getting plenty of it early and belts it to full forward. Durkay almost one hand. Broderick has been given the job deep in defence on him. Gets it outside 50. Clayton and Bachute boundary throw-in. Broderick, you kicked a couple of goals last week. He's the oldest player on the Richmond list at 29 years of age, and he's one of a number of ex-Fitzroy players who are involved in this match one way or the other. 4 possessions for Broderick early in this game. Half forward right. Kangas attacking. Blakey over the top. Speaking of ex-Fitzroy, there would have been a lot of old teammates here. That's a great shot, isn't it? Doing the bike, getting themselves warmed up.
Ashley Burton on for Richmond now.
Thank you, Dipper. Harvey, handball inside. Clayton, 55 metres out. Controlled it. Good kick to full forward. Got to Welsh on the lead. Clayton getting plenty of it early. Harvey getting a fair bit of early. And we saw Welsh in the opening half of the first Friday night match kick 4 goals against Geelong.
Looked particularly dangerous, and he started in the same vein here. Very good disposal from Shane Clayton. He just chipped the ball out in front and allowed Welsh to run onto it.
Should kick a goal. He's only about 40 metres out. Not much of an angle. Looks good off the boot. He likes it. The fans like it. It's a 4th. So the Kangaroos have kicked 4 goals in about 12 minutes here, and they've got a 3-goal margin.
Yeah, I think Scott Welsh is the sort of guy they'll be looking for a bit of consistency from this year. If he can kick 2 or 3 a week and be one of those 50 or 60 goals a year kicker, I think Denis Pagan would be particularly pleased, and that was just a perfect piece of forward play. Good lead and a good kick.
Well, Jeff, yes, I'd be anxiously looking all over the ground at the moment, because they really did struggle to get their only goal, and the Kangaroos, they've done it in fluent fashion so far. Now, here's a decision, Jason, you picked straight away.
Oh, he was hanging on for a long time, Matty Knight's almost begging the umpire for that one.
So Knights, good kick too. Terrific kick by Matthew Knights. That's not a free kick. Well,
that's the second one of those, Robbo, where players have just been pushed out in marking contests but not rewarded.
Duncan Callaway, I just saw, as the football went away towards the boundary line, I watched Duncan Callaway look back at the umpire as if to say, no argument, but just look, well, nonplussed as to why there perhaps wasn't a free kick given there. Ottens gets his left hand to it. Hand pass out by Chaffey. Little hack out of there came from Adam Simpson, and Pike not able to get onto the football before it trundles over, and it will be thrown in just forward of the centre wing in the Tiger forward line. Now, we saw Callaway running with the flight of the ball. Just maybe, if you give the opportunity for the Kangaroos defender to chip in, it was reasonable to be deemed as legal, John.
Yeah, that's right, Robbo.
What about this one, John? What about this one?
Well, there was no signal given, so it's a bit of, I mean, the push has been paid out against Glenn Archer there, and you know, certainly his prime objective was just the footy.
And then to kick the football away after the whistle was sounded, Richardson is going to get a free kick given against him here. So maybe the fans and also our viewers just a little concerned about the free kicks that have been given in the early part of this game.
Martin almost to 50, belted away. Burl, Scholl, that's a good hip and shoulder getting rid of Chaffey, and it's going to be a ball up. Some of the matchups: Callaway, Abraham, Powell, Pickett. 4-2 to 1-2. Crowd continues to build. Perfect autumn day in Melbourne. McKernan lays it down, and the ball over the line. So the Tigers just struggling here to get anything going. They lost to Melbourne in the opening round, beat Sydney in a scrappy match last Saturday, and the Kangaroos have lost both their night games this season.
John Blakey looks as though he's going to wear Wayne Campbell for, well, at least the early part of the game.
Ron Botus over the top. Might have been a bit stiff that time. In hard, Archer. Quick kick forward to half forward. Powell defensively did very well against Pickett. Simpson, it sits. He did very well too, Simpson. Free kick over the Tigers for hanging on against Pike and the Shepherd on Blurton. Well, the philosophy of playing everything they see is being put into practice tonight.
Well, I think the difficulty is, Bruce, that we've seen a couple of instances where it has seemed as though there's been an obvious free kick not paid, and then that's one not so obvious that is pulled out, and I suppose that's what frustrates both players and spectators.
Blurton, who came off
Great
the interchange.
lead,
Richo's the lead, he's got it. Well, you picked it early, Jace.
He sent Mick Martin the wrong way. He went left, Mick went with him, and by the time he looked around, Richo was 20 yards going the other way. And even though there was a defender coming down, Richo had a clear run, a clean leap, one grab, and now he just needs to capitalise and kick a goal to steady the Tigers here.
Young veteran, over 100 games. 4 times the leading goal kicker at the club in the last 5 years. And he's got it. Interesting one. Archer's come from the ground now. He had stress fractures. Hurdy, we all know he's got stress fractures, but that, I don't know why Archer's come off so early.
You'd hope it's not just a disciplinary match
You think it's
for the free kick over there, because he gave the umpire one of the fiercest pays you've ever seen after it. And talk about lip reading, there's been a bit of that done in the last week.
Good kick. This was a good kick, Jason.
It certainly was.
Richardson.
As you can see, boys, straight on the phone as he came on, and very unhappy about it being taken off. Lip read that, Jason.
Can you yell at your coach like that?
Well, actually, I think he's the coach, isn't he?
He's just telling him what he said to the umpire.
He's barked the instructions back to Denis. Well, play goes on at the centre. Matthew Knight's the tackle. The ball spills out wide. No one really able to control it. In goes Anthony Stevens. Pike receives. Back he goes to Harvey across his left shoulder. The ball lands with Simpson. Knights, the creator, the playmaker for the Tigers. Out to James. James wider still. Mark taken by Chaffey. Tigers have settled. And they don't look too bad. Chaffey's kicked towards full forward. Good. Oh, what a great mark. He's a young man, Ben Holland, but that was a terrific mark. Is it going to be a 50-metre penalty? No. But that was a top effort right in front of his face. He was under a fair bit of pressure. He was able to control it, grab it and bring it down.
Well, things have come down here on the bench, and Archer about to come back on.
This is a fantastic mark, Robbo. He's under extreme pressure. Great to see that he just had the arm slightly bent just to absorb any impact that came, and it was a fantastic one-grab mark. If he finishes this with a goal, well, the Tigers really have the momentum, don't they?
Well, I think we've watched this young man's career with a lot of interest over the last couple of seasons, and that's a lovely kick. The Tigers have hit back hard. First goal of this game to Ben Holland. Their goals have come from Matthew Richardson, Robert Powell and Ben Holland for the Kangaroos. Abraham, Clayton, Bell and Welsh.
It's Archer really. Have a look at this. Gee, he's filthy. And I think call back to continue on with the conversation. So the conversation we saw originally was the second one. What me? So Glenn is now back on the ground. Some interesting stuff there.
Wouldn't you like to be his opponent when he gets back out there, Bruce?
Richardson, Powell and Holland, the goal scorers. Probably where they've got to get their goals from too. Those three blokes in particular, I reckon. And as you said, Richmond have settled. No high tackle paid there. You can see the Tigers have suddenly got themselves into a match. They were out here about a half an hour before the Kangaroos tonight, had a big warm-up, went back in. But it was as if they came out cold, Richmond, and the Kangaroos came out completely fired up.
Yeah, the Kangaroos certainly jumped them. They threatened to put a space on them, but they've fought back very, very well. This could be a classic contest tonight.
McKee and along Knight's getting plenty of it. Not paid. He ducked his head, got a high tackle, and it wasn't paid. Gasper and the ball up.
I think exactly as you called it, Bruce. I mean, the reason the umpire wouldn't have paid that was that he construed Matthew Knight's contributed to the high contact, and Matthew Knight's just making it quite clear that he didn't.
Happy with the decision, John. I just hope they do that all night.
Yep.
Broderick and Clayton, you can see Broderick's pretty annoyed with him. McKee, Longmire, just won it out. Daffy and Stevens. Daffy got there first. Simpson. Now, what's happened here?
Been paid by the umpire at the opposite end of the ground for holding, Bruce.
Boy, Daffy's kicked the centre half forwards, a poor one. Pike's got it. Bad footy by Daffy, really. Off one step. And now Pike drills it to half forward. Two players go to ground. Hilton's got the opportunity. It sits. He should be able to deliver. Left foot, he does. Knights went to ground. Oh, did very well to hold his footing. And then get the mark. He put himself into the hot spot. He went to ground and he did a great job to hold balance here. And Simpson may be a bit high. Knights at half-back, fifth possession for him. He's a superb player. 50 metres. Oh, gee, John.
Now, I know what, it's been paid because Gary Durko was stuck on the far side of the mark, Bruce, and he was trying to get to Joel Bowden and didn't know what to do, and he really didn't affect what was going on at all, and I think it was just a case of poor communication by the umpire. I think that's a really tough 50 in the circumstances.
Well, he's outside range, and it gives it all he's got. He's kicked the centre half forward. It's a good one. Ottens has got it. They've got a very tall forward line. Remember, Geelong went in with the same situation against the Kangaroos. And this defence we talked about with North 12th last year, even though they were top of the table at the end of the season, and they've had 44 goals against them in 2 matches this year.
They certainly have, and gee, they're undermanned a little bit down back. We knew Glenn Archer would get a big job. Now, if he's going to pick up Brad Ottens when he goes forward, he's giving away a good 6 or 7 inches in height there.
This to tie the scores, which would be a surprise. Have a look at the angle from the far end of the ground. Ottens is going to kick from about 45. He's pretty deliberate. Gee, it's a good kick. A beauty.
I'll tell you what I love about these two young blokes that have kicked the goals, Holland and Ottens. The fact that they're taking insufficient steps in their lead up to kicking the ball. They're obviously being well trained, well drilled at practice.
Yeah, there are a lot of different styles when kicking for goal, as we just see a replay of the strong mark from Ottens here. He just drifted forward. A very good ploy for ruckman. If you can get a couple of goals out of your ruckman, you're always going to be in good stead. And it was a very good kick. He just settled himself and kicked through the ball.
Well, Denis had probably plenty to be a little relaxed about early in the match when the Kangaroos kicked the 4 of the first 5 goals. But the Tigers have kicked the last 3 and scores a level. Duncan Callaway will get a well-earned free kick here. Gives the handball away to Knights. Knights waits, plenty of time. Kicks the ball to Ottens. Big raps, particularly last year on this young man, Brad Ottens. A lovely kick towards centre-half forward. Not marked there by Holland. So where are the crumb gatherers? At ground level, Aaron James. The look-away hand pass to Chaffey. Back onto his left foot. Good kick by Chaffey to the front of the goals. And getting back, strong mark to Archer. Handballs away to Harvey. Harvey along the line. No one really to kick to. Knights first there. And harassed fairly there by Adam Simpson. According to the umpire, it will be thrown in.
Robbo, Mickey Martin really unlucky not to get the free kick for being pushed out of that marking contest by Matthew Richardson. Clearly the bump was before the ball arrived, and Michael Martin should have taken the free.
So Stevens has got Daffy and Simpson's got Knights. That's the matchups in midfield. Daffy squeezes it to 50. Quick hands there, but not all that effective. Ron Botus over the top. Bouncing ball more. Chance for Chaffey. Chaffey's handball was too slow. It was a good tackle by Pickett. Bell just able to get a little kick away. Shepherd's a good one. Gives Ron Botus every chance. Rogers to Shepherd. Ron Botus across towards full forward. Built it through from behind. Chaffey really had to release the ball earlier at half forward. He tried to break the tackle. Unable to. There's Burke in his 50th.
Bruce, Glenn Archer's now gone to full forward for the Kangaroos.
Gee, interesting stuff. Thanks, Dipper. You weren't too far away from what happened a moment ago on the phone as Pickett drives it back into the centre. No mark paid. Suddenly it's all happening for the Tigers. Richardson, not a particularly good kick. Ron Botus caught underneath it. Bell punches it away. It was there for Broderick. Comes back to Campbell. Campbell gets one to the front of the square. Pickett belts it through. Broderick should have really been the man to take it on his left side. He had a good chance, I think, to score. Wrong decision. And the Tigers lead by 2.
Well, that's the awareness, I suppose, of playing a bit more football.
Certainly is. Would have been a much better opportunity of scoring a left footer from that pocket.
Pickett to himself and goes to the great southern stand side of the MCG. Gaspar, will he be paid the mark? Yes. He had 2 or 3 grabs at it, and eventually the umpire giving the opportunity for Gaspar to kick Richmond in towards centre-half forward, drops it short, and Simpson gets in front of a pack of 2 or 3 players and marks quite safely. No, it's a free kick, maybe to Clayton, being shepherded out of the marking contest. Shane Clayton kicks it out wide. Hilton and Welsh. The ball spills to the back. Welsh is the first to recover. Wonderful pickup. Gave Welsh the chance there, and he kicks it right in the face of Glenn Archer. So 1 minute, disappointing across the half-back line. Gets a blast from the coach, and then marks it full forward. Goes for goal. And a good mark. Welsh kicked the ball to Archer, and he's going to get it back from that player and should kick his 2nd goal.
Shootouts when the Kangaroos play this year, aren't they? They're big scoring shootouts.
It all started with a fantastic shepherd. I think it was Anthony Stevens up on the wing that Harvey was it, that released Welsh. And good of Welsh to run on and kick the goal.
So Scott Welsh has kicked his 2nd goal, and the Kangaroos have kicked their 5th. They lead 5-2 to the Tigers 4-4.
There's nothing better, Robert, than when you see someone deliver the ball into the forward line and then run on and receive it again, and that's just the rewards for some hard work. It's a very strong mark under pressure from Gaspar as well.
Gaspar probably would have fancied himself in the flight there, that he had a good chance. So a couple to Welsh on Hilton. 4-4-5-2, Kangaroos lead. Still plenty of time in this opening term. Been entertaining. Richmond going in as slight underdogs against a team that was without Carey tonight. No real surprise, he didn't make it. Longmire's kick. He spoke to us at the start of the game, Carey. He was disappointed. Ron Botus belts it back, and it's left forward pocket. Boundary throw in. Scotty. Gee, what a good player he's been over the years for the Cats. and the Kangaroos. A very different role at the Kangaroos. He was a goal kicker at Geelong, and at North really a run-with player, a stopper. Dragicevic coming on for Richmond, their rookie. And again, a boundary throw in. So more off the ground. It's Gasper, good player. #1 draft pick a few years ago in Sydney. Came to Melbourne. Fair bit of talk when he came down. Some dispute about all the conditions. Durkay cleverly, and then just didn't give it everything he's got. And James has made an impressive start to tonight's match.
Yes, he looks fairly confident, Aaron James, particularly at the start of this match. Gee, terrific leap and mark from behind Rory Hilton by Scotty Welsh. And Welsh is marked. He's kicking towards centre-half forward. Punch from behind, nearly gathered by Ottens. James, hand pass to no one in particular. Dragicevic, that tackle. Callaway tries to get the hand pass out. James couldn't find a target. Simpson, ball spills for Durkay. Can't get past, gets his left foot to it. Not bad in the finish. Blakey across his left shoulder. What a good passage of play by the Kangaroos. Goal to Blakey.
What a fantastic goal. It was a clever little kick from Durkay just to get the ball moving. He had the player loose in the pocket, and by the time Blakey got the ball, he was under the pump. He didn't have time to think. He didn't have time to look. He knew he had to hook it over his shoulder, and when he did, gee, it was with devastating effect. That's a sensational goal.
So John Blakey, who is banding up on Wayne Campbell at the start of this game, has kicked the Kangaroos' 6th goal. They lead 6-2 to 4-4 after trailing just a few moments ago. They've kicked the last couple through Welsh and John Blakey. Longmire to do the ruck work. His opponent is Ottens. The ball spills to Stevens. Stevens, a right foot kick towards half forward. Welsh and Hilton. Out comes Grant. Hilton, second effort. In underneath, there's the footy. He's been penalised because maybe he dragged it in, Johnny.
Well, he had the ball all the time, Bruce. He didn't elect to drag it in, and he didn't elect to dive on the ball, so it certainly shouldn't have been paid for electing to drag it in if that was the case.
Shannon Grant at about 60 metres. He takes Hilton on. We don't see him do that too often. Then doesn't quite time it. Gets to fall forward. The big fly at the back from James. On the ground, Gasper's hands were quick. Handball by Bowden. They work it out. Dragicevic gets it to Rogers. Rogers kicks the ball to centre-half forward. This is where they look pretty dangerous. Powell had it knocked away. Blurton clever. Then turns back to Powell. Back to Blurton. The 1-1 was okay. Blurton, good kick. Right to the goal square. You'd always back Richo in this situation. But Mickey's a good player. You don't play 200-odd games and stand like he has over the years without having something, and he belts it over the line.
And if there's one strength he does have, Bruce, he can play in front. You think you've got him under the ball. He is very difficult to move. He can force back even when he doesn't appear to have the momentum as he did on that case. He stood up. He didn't let Richardson push him under the ball and rushed it through for a point.
Bruce, our newsmaker's on. David Burke on replacing Rory Hill.
Thanks, Mark. Mark Doran there. McCartney gets it short in the back pocket, playing his 100th match, 3rd club. Well done to Joseph McCartney. Out to half-back. Big fly at the back from Ottens. Inside Chaffee. Chaffee back to about 50. Not a good kick. And Pike's got it about 40 metres from his goal, to the one he's defending. And he'll bang it as far as he can to half-back centre wing.
And he does that. Big kick in the direction of McKernan. Gathered by Scholl. Chipped in by Ottens. Was good play. James to Campbell. Campbell to set up Matthew Knights. Watch this. Matthew Knights. Lovely long kick by Knights. The Tigers have got their 5th. He's an excitement machine, Matthew Knights. Don't worry about that. Nearly 200 games, and they love him at Tigerland.
They certainly do, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier on. Aaron James is doing a fantastic job on Corey McKernan. He provided the spoil on the wing, then got the quick handball out, and eventually it came to Knights, and running in from 45, 50 metres out, he's deadly accurate.
Beautiful to watch, isn't he?
He's a great player.
He's in cruise control most of the night, but it's fast enough.
We said he had a great left foot, and he showed it on that occasion.
Big scoring opening term, 5-5, 6-2. Ottens and Longmire down to Knights again, but that one's smothered. Picked up by Dragicevic, throwing it away. He was a bit lucky not to be pinged. Stevens, high tackle Dragicevic, ball up.
Very lucky not to be penalised then, Bruce, as you said. I mean, there was no attempt to handball. He just let the ball fall away from free arms.
First quarters the Kangaroos have been in this year. 13 goals kicked in the Geelong match, 11 in the Essendon match, and we've had 11 so far tonight. They've come out running, and so have the opposition against them. They've been free-flowing matches, and it looks like we're getting a third one tonight.
And Bruce, they've let in 43 goals in the last 2 weeks. If we average out at 5 a quarter at the moment, that's another 20 tonight.
Bell on the bench. Well, both teams at the moment look very capable when they go forward. They look as if they can score at will, don't they? Otten's just going forward, belted forward by Chaffee to about 50. Rombotis goes to ground, turned Broderick the wrong way. Campbell didn't do particularly well there, didn't cover the footy, and Pickett's able to go away with a second bounce, and then delivers with some pace towards Durkay. Big fly, belted away. Scholl trying to get onto it, and also Welsh, he overran it. Gaspar gets back, probably could have used Rogers in the end, but he saw Rombotis down the line. If it sits for him, he's okay. Needs a quick handball, it's not a particularly good one. Knight's under the hammer. Knight's clever though, got it back towards Burke. Burke back to Rombotis. Rombotis too slow, back to Burke. Burke did well, finds Dragosevic, who's been in the play quite a bit. Dragosevic's kick inside 50, Holland on the lead. Can he trap it? Ball ricochets off Mickey, gets back Martin, belts it away with a low torpedo towards the line. He wants the line, he'll nearly get it. Grant there, Rombotis with him. Grant still in play, brought to ground, no boundary throw in between centre wing and half forward. Tigers slightly into attack. There's Dragosevic, like him, 18 years of age, been good.
Well, he knows how to get where the football is, and perhaps the pace of the game escaping him in the early part of his play time. Knocked forward by Rombotis. Stevens gets back, nearly tackled by Dragosevic. Shannon Grant gets it back to Anthony Stevens. Stevens, a left foot kick, trusty left footer, in towards the centre half forward position, punched away by James. At the fall of the ball, Knight's not able to collect the footy, and in a very entertaining first term, it is only 3 points the difference. Matthew Knights has been a key player for the Tigers. Jeff Geeshan to address his players at quarter time, and the Kangaroos lead. It's only a small margin, 6-2 to 5-5 at quarter time.
Archer, what an interesting conversation he had with Denis Pagan in the opening term. I reckon that'll get a replay at some stage during the weekend, don't you?
I think it certainly will, and he probably hasn't heard the last from Denis Pagan either. He might have a quiet chat to him, whether it be in one of the breaks here or after the match.
But, Jason, it must be difficult for players because Glenn Archer really is one of those guys that just ferociously attacks the footy. And in doing that, I suppose every now and again he's got to have a go at the player as well. And on that occasion, it didn't look as though he was untowardly focused on the player.
So the situation at quarter time, with Archer certainly in the spotlight, is the Tigers are 5-5-35 and they trail the Roos, who are 6-2-38. Welcome back. Plenty of goal kickers in the opening term. Scott Welsh, the main goal scorer in the match so far, with 2 for the Kangaroos. They lead by 3 points. It's 6-2 to 5-5. Glenn Archer and Denis Pagan. This is live at the moment. We saw Glenn's conversation with Denis. We can only assume it was Denis, and I think this is confirming it. Denis probably saw. He has a TV in the coach's box. He probably saw what we saw. Glenn was pretty fired up. Here we go. I think everything's sweet now. Between one champion player and a bloke who's been a champion coach, he's going to you laughing, aren't you?
I think they've kissed and made up finally. He's got a fiery temper, Arch.
Well, you weren't going to expect him to lay Denis on his back with a left hook, would you?
I reckon a kiss between Archer and Pagan would be a rough kiss. That's what I was saying. But we've got a terrific competition coming up. Here's your chance for the ultimate footy prize. Thanks to Mitre 10, you could be spending grand final week with a Club 10 superstar, maybe a Carey or a Richardson. Just 2 of Club 10 players in tonight's game. You rub shoulders with the biggest names in footy at the Brownlow, the grand final, the Flying Start grand final functions, a VIP lunch with you and the Club 10 superstar. Plus, you'll receive a limited edition of Mitre 10 footy jumper, signed by all 16 Club 10 players, plus $10,000 to spend at Mitre 10. There's also a weekly prize of an autographed and framed action shot of the Club 10 player of your choice with $1,000 to spend at Mitre 10. All you have to win the 10 by 10 competitions is to call 1902 as we're back to the footy. I might go back to this when we go to a commercial break. I will. Daffy through the set. I'll give you that number when we get a boundary throw in, I think.
Great
Good mark and good kick. Richardson's got it at centre half forward.
Now the focus at quarter time was on Richo, then I'll come back to that in a moment.
Good on you, Diverty. Richo's lean back. This is a big one. It's going. It'll be marked on the line by Pike. It's a big kick.
The focus was on Richo, then the coach did ask him just to time his leads a bit better, because he just thought he wasted a lot of the leads in that first quarter.
Pike belts it back, well outside 50. Simpson a flyer. Handball by Broderick was good. It releases Knights. That's important for the Tigers. Knights to Ottens at full forward. Had a fair bit of it, not paid. Blurton goes to ground, has a couple over the top of him, including Scott. And it'll be a ball up about 30 metres out. Ashley Blurton, who came on about halfway through the opening term. Tigers in attack. Pickett couldn't go with it. Stevens belts it outside, gets it almost up to centre wing. McKernan, Simpson, quick kick down the line. Chaffee, and also coming in is Gasper. Gasper took a long time to release it. Broderick pushed as he tried to get a kick away. No free kick. Getting it forward, Scholl comes back to Gasper. Gasper's between half-back and centre wing. He takes a long time to deliver. Rombotis goes to ground. Off the ground, okay. Can Ottens handle it? He does with a handball to Daffy's paw. Shannon Grant goes back to Pickett. Pickett across the line. Johnny Longmire's out after it. The horse, he's got a paddock. It's going to be close to the line. He keeps it in and then kicks the ball to centre wing. McKernan, the target, had a pretty quiet opening term. James did a good job to get rid of him. The ball close to the line. Rogers is there. It won't go out. It does now. I'm pleased, Robbo, because I'm going to tell you that what you have to do to get that fantastic prize of the weekly is tell us why do you want to spend a grand final week with a Club 10 superstar in 25 words or less. The phone number 1902 555 400. Robbo, take it for the next 20 minutes.
You've just run half a marathon, Bruce. Well done. Campbell kicks the Tigers down towards half forward, and Blurton is marked. He's about 80 metres from goal, so it'll take 2 good kicks for Richmond to score. Blurton a little undecided. Now he kicks in towards the danger zone. Oh, Rombotis will get a goal, won't he? Go the right way. No, he ducked back into trouble, and away go the Kangaroos. Grant and Archer combined. The latter kicks the ball out towards the wing, and David Burke marks on his chest. I think he's a favourite player, as was his father, with the Tigers. David Burke, short kick all right. Broderick usually uses the football pretty well. This is no exception. Into the middle. Callaway quickly gets the ball to half forward. Awkward bouncing ball, gathered there by Grant. Away to Archer. Little kick is all right. Harvey's on the end of it. Harvey round onto his right foot. Kicks the ball high towards centre half forward. Punched away, gathered beautifully again by Matthew Knights. Fluency personified, out wide to Bowden, and Bowden gets the ball down towards Ben Holland. Ben Holland has already kicked a goal for the Tigers. He's a long way out, punched away by Ottens. Now the ball hits the ground. Richardson, a handball to no one in particular. Back there is McCartney for the Kangaroos. His kick smothered. Chaffee, right foot kick blindly in towards half forward. Ottens underneath it. He's got it. Well done. He stood his ground. Up over the top went Longmire. didn't touch the footy, and Ottens is marked within scoring range.
I've got to tell you, Rob, I think we saw the toll that the knee injuries on Johnny Longmire have taken then. He had the run and he couldn't jump high enough to get over the top of Ottens and spoil the ball. And full credit to Brad Ottens, he kept his eye on the ball, and at about the third attempt he managed to rake it in, and now he's lining up for his second.
Well, just a youngster as far as games played is concerned in the AFL, but I'm sure he's going to play a lot of football for Richmond. He's kicked a goal, and he's certainly within scoring range. He's gone back as far as Merv Hughes here at the MCG. And the player on the mark is about just a little more than 35 metres from goal. Distance shouldn't be a problem. Well done, Brad Otten, straight through the centre. So the Tigers strike early in the second term. They lead 41-38.
Well, you made comment earlier, Robbo, that you liked the way he ran in to kick. He didn't kick off 3 or 4 steps. He has a nice, long, deliberate run. As we see the replay here, the ball is smothered beautifully off McCartney's kick. Hooked back high into the middle by Chaffee. Now, he just had to sit and wait. Longmire ran at him, but that's a fantastic leap, basically, off both feet.
Couple to Ottens. So the Tigers, who hit the lead for a short time in the opening term, take the lead in the early stages of this second. Jeff Geeshan, as Denis Pagan makes a move. And Gary Durkee comes off to be replaced by Adam Lang, who we saw in his debut last week kick a couple. Going to be hard to beat the Tigers tonight from what we've seen so far. Longmire wins it, but Campbell held on to a bit, and then Knights tries to get a little one away. Longmire did very well to get back. Shannon Grant around the corner. He's a good kick, isn't he? Mark not taken, though, by Abraham. Little give on the up was high tackle, actually, on Campbell. It was a good give on the up by him. He's got a couple loose out wide, Daffy, but he's now being picked up by Stevens. But he's able to come to McKee at centre wing. Neat kick inside, but not long enough. And Pike, McCartney was behind him shielding, and Pike's taken the mark. Pushes wide to Clayton, who had a terrific opening term. Clayton at half-back. Over to Pickett. It's a good handball. Pickett on the run towards half-forward. Nice kick. It should sit. Bell's chasing hard. It'll stay inside. Yes, he's 60 metres. He's 50 from goal. Centering kick towards the goal square, and he's got his man in McKernan. North Melbourne at its very best, the way they went forward there. Created space, and then they brought the ball back into the hot spot.
It was a fantastic kick by Peter Bell. Now, Aaron James has done a wonderful job on McKernan, but the hardest thing for a backman is when you're backpedaling, you don't have contact with your opponent. And Corey McKernan on that occasion was able to sneak away and take a good mark, knowing that someone was going to come and basically apply pressure from behind. Should kick this.
Good view of the angle, and McKernan's put it through, so the Kangaroos back in front. He's kicked 4 and 2 in his first 2 matches, and now 1. And with Carey not playing, he does become the key player up forward for the Kangaroos.
Certainly was a desperately needed goal, not just for the Kangaroos, but for Corey McKernan. Aaron James has been very much on top of him tonight. It really was a fantastic kick by Peter Bell. He's one of the smartest players running around at the moment. He just took his time. He didn't hurry. He waited till McKernan made the space, and then he put it right on the spot for him.
Gee, the eyes are up, aren't they? As he, as you say, he looked up, had a good look, and then delivered.
Well, McKernan, it was a good strong mark in the finish. David Burke up over the top, missed everything. So play restarted, back at the centre. Longmire up over the top, McKee. Campbell can get his foot to the ball. No, McKee. Another chance for McKee. He's had 3 possessions. I don't think he'd be credited with 3 possessions. Back there was Richardson, not able to mark. Pike, Durkee gets past a little too easily as far as Jeff Geeshan would be concerned, I would think. Pickett, rather, kicks it out wide. Clayton gathers just inside the line, did he? Yes. The umpire has allowed the play to go on. McKernan and James. James into McKernan's back. The umpire gives the all clear for a boundary throw-in.
Yeah, Robbo, you'll find
Dipper.
You'll find Gary Durkee, as we see him on screen, on the bench now, with Robert Scott, Brady Rawlings and Stuart Corcoran.
Thanks, Dipper. And the play is at right half forward for the Kangaroos. McKee, number 15 for the Tigers. Number 31 for the Kangaroos is McKernan. McKee after the ball. Harvey gathers. Handball wide. Broderick close to the line. Taken over? No. Gathered there by Daffy. His quick kick into the middle of the ground. Awkward bouncing ball past Longmire. to grab the crumbs. Grant, handball, sets it up for Bell. Little left foot kick by Bell. Over the heads there of Gasper, punched away by Burke. After the football, Callaway. Dragged away from the footy, didn't have it, according to the umpire. And the free kick will go to Callaway. Now advantage with the Tigers. Burke to scream away from half-back. Burke's kick is good, very good as a matter of fact. Set it up for Knights. Knights, oh, good Shepherd. Terrific Shepherd there. Knights was able to get a few more metres. That Shepherd came from Moore. High flyer up was blocked. That's where the little blokes are going to be. At the base of the pack. And kicking.
It's missed.
Behind, was it?
Chief.
He looks a disappointed bloke when he ran away from the goal, but gee, I think he might have missed.
He's not sure, the umpire, I think. It looked a goal. I don't think the umpire's certain.
The field umpire's actually signalled touch, Bruce, so...
Has he?
Yeah, the field umpire signalled touched. I'm sure the field umpire signalled touch, so there was really no option for the...
It wasn't a clean kick. I thought he might have shanked it onto the post.
It's not touched, John.
Certainly
Yeah,
wasn't.
well...
He threw his hands up in despair, then I think he knew he'd hit the post.
It certainly went left of the post, but it appears as though the fielder had signalled touched.
Grant kicks in, goes out wide. Martin advantage by the football, bouncing to the back of the pack. Was that a throw? Gee, it looked it, didn't it? Longmire, back to Blakey. Blakey, that little kick, advantages Harvey. Back to Blakey, the Kangaroos go forward.
Good kick inside the
kick.
show.
Now, I'm surprised Craig Scholl didn't start in the key forward post this week. He was fantastic when he came on last week. Kicked 4 goals, I think, in the basically the second half of the match. And that's another great kick, a centering kick into the centre corridor. That's where the forwards will be leading. Craig Scholl, he knows what it's all about.
He kicked all his goals at this end, Jace. He kicked 3 in the second quarter, 1 in the last. And he kicked them from a long way out, just as he's done now. It's a big goal, isn't it? When you consider what happened at one end with Blurton and at the other with Scholl. And now the Kangaroos.
It's a 2-goal turnaround, isn't it, Bruce?
Instead of being behind, the Kangas have got a little break in a high-scoring match. Been good, Blakey. He's always good.
He is always good. People always used to think he was just a tagger, but he has the ability now. He's added an extra string to his bow. He really can get a lot of the ball, and that's wonderful disposal into the vision of a leading forward.
Yes, the Collingwood boys, Tony Shaw and Danny Frawley, watching on. Obviously, one of these two teams, Collingwood's opponent maybe in the next week or two. The ball at centre-half forward, McKernan, Anthony Stevens, left foot kick, punched away there from the player behind, which was Welsh of Burke. Callaway back to Burke, deemed as a, what was that, John?
A Richmond free kick for, I think, a high tackle, and then because there was no advantage, then Duncan Callaway will now be given the kick.
So it comes back to the reliable Richmond defender Callaway, away to Campbell, in turn to Bowden. He's a left foot kick, and he's weighted this. Not too bad. Richardson a long way down the ground. Well done, Bowden. Could see that he put Richardson under a bit of pressure. The running support was there by Bowden. Daffy, chance here for the Tigers. Chaffee will mop it up, won't he? Left foot kick by Chaffee. Goes for goal. Back there, Archer. Reliable. Takes the mark for the Kangaroos. Goes wide to Grant. Grant in the left back pocket, kicks into the middle, terrific kick, pinpoints Welsh from about 45. Handball away, McCartney. McCartney straight down the ground, no nonsense, but Kip coughs it up, puts it with Rogers. Rogers for Richmond, out wide, will come bouncing back. Chaffee another chance. What can he do with this kick? He can do something positive and puts it on the chest of Blurt.
60 metres from goal. He's got Richardson on a lead now, and Holland's calling him for long. Goes to Richardson in the pocket.
Oh!
Great mark.
How did he hang on to that?
Boy,
Remarkable.
you tell us. You did it a few times.
Well, not like that. His right arm, or his left arm, must be about 11 feet long. It's his right arm, I think. I'm not sure which one he's taking. He stuck out one.
I think they're both 11 feet long.
Have a look at this. The ball got spoiled pretty well. Oh, how did he get that out?
Great camera work there. Richardson's kick for goal.
Post.
Hit the post, so it was a good kick too in the end. So who's down on the bench for the Tigers, Dipper?
Well, they've changed a few times, but at the moment we've got Rory Hilton, Brett Evans and Paul Broderick, who's just come off, and also Robert Powell.
Thanks, Dip. Pickett to bring her back in. What a great shot we had of Richardson's mark a moment ago. 6-7 to 8-2, so 13 scoring shots to 10, but the Kangas are in front by a goal and a half. Pickett goes long, and long he does. Almost to centre wing. The fly from Ottens. The front spot was Longmire. Scott was held up. Handball was okay from Dragicevic. Got it to Chaffee, who's been busy. Back towards the pocket, but Pickett, Moore was caught underneath it. And Pickett lapped it up pretty easily, and then just kicks it to Grant. Now, this is a bit dangerous here. Rombotis with him. Grant paddling in front. He'll want the line. Off Rombotis, back to Rombotis. Clever Rombotis, got it back. Went to ground, though, Holland. Pike's handball over the top. Good. McCartney should release Blakey. Doesn't. Decides to go long. That's the way North play it. Bound at the back. Belts it too far for Chaffee. Chance for Daffy. Chaffee, Daffy. Gee, on the ground. Blakey on the up. Longmire just got rid of it in a hurry. Chaffee's in there. Taken from McKee. McKee interesting handball. Kellaway. Blurton versus Pike. An important ball. Blurton's handball back inside. Dragicevic made it. He kicked an important goal last week. He goes over the top to Moore. Moore's got Holland. Decides not to use him. Hooks. It's going to miss. It's coming back. It's close. It's a behind. After all of that, 44 to 50.
Just needed a quick handball rather than a kick over the shoulder then, I think.
He had Holland laterally, didn't he? And I'm not sure whether he heard the voice. Good shot here. This was close.
The kick in has been taken by Archer in front of the smoker stand here at the MCG. 50 plays 44. That's what is in front of there of Glenn Archer. He goes short to Pickett. Pickett is very much a playmaker as well for the Kangaroos. McCartney just bombs away. He's going to cough it up. Burke should have taken the mark. Gee, this could be costly if they get a score out of this, the Kangaroos. Burke's little tap. Blurton into Chaffee. Chaffee out wide. Knights. Watch Matthew Knights. The percentage play by Matthew Knights. It was certainly on. Richardson. Handball. Daffy running hard. Left foot snap by Daffy! Goal of the night so far by Nick Daffy. Terrific footy by the Tigers. They hit back again. Scores a level at the MCG halfway through the second term.
Gee, we've seen some fantastic pieces of play tonight. You won't see much better than that. I would have said Anthony Stevens has had the better of that duel to date, but running at full pace, he picked it up. Now, it mightn't look pretty, but that is just one extraordinary kick on your opposite foot under extreme pressure.
At pace, flat out. Terrific angles from our cameras again there.
Pretty happy with it too. Why wouldn't you be?
All square at the G. Gee, we have some good games on a Friday night, don't we?
My word.
7-8 to 8-2. Terrific contest here between two teams who really need a win to set their season up. Campbell, high ball to centre half forward. It's at about 50. Richardson went hard, I should say, for it. Pike held on to. No free kick, probably the right decision. Pike under pressure. High ball. In Portman, gee, good play by four blokes who kept their eyes on it. It comes through the legs. Back to Campbell. Campbell to Chaffee, who's getting a lot of the footy. To full forward. Otten's made a good contest. Back to centre half forward. Clayton on the up to Archer. Archer comes through. Wobbly kick, but it's out in front. Good take by McKernan to Blakey. Blakey, Archer's run all the way down the ground and then delivers to Scholl. Not quite. It was a good effort by Gaspar. Getting in there, Bell to Scholl. Play on call. Blakey again. Blakey tries to break Bowden's gone. That's holding the footy. Trying to break the tackle.
Well done, Joel Bowden.
Just took a dreadful start to the match, Bowden, but he's making up for it now.
Well, I think they're the key parts of a player's game, Jason. If you're not going too good, then you just lift and do something like that.
You've got to do the tough things, Robbo.
Well, it gives you a bit of a kick too, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
Well, the Tigers are all the way to half forward. Matthew Richardson goes in, and he's missed. Just the goal, maybe, that would have just lifted the roof off the MCG as far as the Tiger fans are concerned. And Matthew just missing off to the right. Richardson 1-2 against his name. He's got plenty of time to improve that situation. 6.5 minutes of the second term left. Pickett to kick it back in. Goes straight down the ground. Beautiful night for football. Friday night, and a good mark taken in the middle there by Aaron James. Already been mentioned about the quality of his game so far, manning up on Corey McKernan. James goes to half forward. High leap there by... Well, that's the Shepherd, is it?
No, he's paid the free kick for firm contact from the front in the marking contest, Robbo. Didn't look as though there was anything in it. Heaven knows there's certainly an intention to make contact, but there really isn't any contact there that would warrant the free kick being paid.
And that's a classic case of matchups that go astray when you're kicking out from goal. Mick Martin was over the other side as one of the tall targets. Matthew Richardson came out and sat this side. When the ball rebounds him quickly, he finds himself against Shannon Grant.
Well, Matthew Richardson, he's had 8 kicks, he's taken 4 marks, and he's kicked his second goal. Don't worry about the Tigers, they're going to be in this match, and for a long, long way. They lead presently by 7 points. They're 8-9 to 8-2.
They're on top at the moment, aren't they?
They certainly are, and Aaron James has been impressive. Well, Corey McKernan basically ran underneath the ball, and he judged it a little bit better, took the mark, and then a great kick to a tall opponent who you'd back 99 times out of 100 against a man 8 inches shorter than him.
Couple to Richardson, an important player, getting plenty of it. Tigers enjoying a very good patch here. They've been on top for the last 10 minutes, and they're on top on the scoreboard. Kangaroos without a win in their opening 2 games. It's the first time it's happened since Denis Pagan has had his huge run at the club since '93. Stevens out of the centre. McKernan front spot. Burke helped out very well. Dragicevic was going to handball, decided against it and got the ball to centre wing. A charge. Evans has had very little of it. Did very, very well to Campbell, to Daffy. Campbell and Daffy becoming important. Richardson, well done, Mickey. Belts it away. Bouncing ball. Evans went without it. A hard one in the centre. He got a high tackle. He should have got a free kick.
Blind side of the umpire, Bruce.
Play on called. Bell in and under to Stevens. Stevens to about 40. McKernan front spot. It's got the mark. Should kick the goal. Sorts of goals that the big players have got to go back and drill.
And it just highlights the value of a quick kick into the forward line. A forward's job is to play in front, and when the ball comes in quickly and drops short, it's always going to land on a forward's chest.
We talked about Richardson and McKernan at depth before the match, and both of them are going to be key players tonight.
He has to kick this, Bruce.
There's the angle. He's missed. He's kicked it badly. It's going to go out on the full. It's not the result that the Kangaroos needed at that moment. 57 to 50. It can be pretty deflating when that happens. Do you do anything different, Jason?
It didn't look to be a poor kick, technically speaking, but when you miss everything, something's gone wrong.
Makita Knights has been sensational. To Dragicevic, to Daffy, who's starting to knock up, getting kicks. We told you at the start of the game he's had more than anybody else this season. Evans, strong in the front. Against Pike, 60 metres from goal. It's happening for the Tigers. Bowden on the lead. He's got him. There were 3 Kangaroos around him, but Bowden made the space, and it was a well-weighted kick. He had a start he wouldn't want to remember tonight, but he has come back strongly, hasn't he, the kid? Normally a good kick. He goes inboard and finds James. 8 possessions in the opening term to Aaron James. You'd reckon he's on his last legs here. This is the season he has to make it, and he's doing very well tonight.
Well, if this is his last chance, he's making the most of it.
See if he can kick the goal. Remember, McKernan missed from a similar distance out at the other end. It's close. He's just missed, so it's a let-off. James with the behind, who's on McKernan tonight. And the Tigers lead 8-10 to 8-2. 8 more scoring shots, 8 points the margin.
Archer to accept the kick in and then goes in the direction of Martin. Martin marks safely on his chest, left half back. Tries to run on, succeeds in doing that and gets good distance with the kick. Burke, big punch by David Burke, plays the percentages out wide to the wing and in front of Craig Scholl and trundles over for a throw-in.
Yeah, a couple of plays have changed now. We've got McCarthy on Richardson and Martin now picking up Holland.
So the play on centre wing and McKernan into the ruck. Longmire looks as though he may have gone back. Punched forward by McKernan. Kicked away there by Gaspar. In towards half forward. Attempted hack out of there by Stevens. Only as far as Campbell. Just gets his foot to it. He was nearly besieged. Up high there to Ottens, but Archer was strong. Handball away to Martin. Martin goes down the ground. Simpson, who's been a little quiet, particularly in this second term. Simpson, a left foot kick. Normally, that right foot kick, he coughs it up out and is marked safely. Away to James. James across the full back line. It may go bouncing back for the Tigers. Campbell, lovely hand pass, not having to change stride, Matthew Rogers. Rogers kicked towards half forward. Not quite to the advantage of any of his teammates, and the Kangaroos' defence will mop it up. Anthony Stevens will come clear.
and kick towards centre wing. A wobbly old kick in the end. Kellaway and Rawlings. Kellaway front spot, goes to ground. Knights is there with Burl. Still a ball to be won. Kangas in hard. A little kick forward there was from Cochrane. Burke held on to. And Burke, who came on in the first quarter, has found very good touch here. His defensive work has been excellent. He's done that a lot tonight, hasn't he? Punched the ball forward, and he had a good feel for what was going on. Bloughton has rolled it beautifully. Let's hope he kicks a goal here. He missed the first one, and he's missed that one completely. Well, the first one might have been a controversial decision. That one he's missed a lot, and he sees and knows that he's had an opportunity. Richmond could be 4 in front at half-time.
That is one of the best reads off the pack you've ever seen, but he just needed to slow down and settle as he kicked for goal.
Chance here. Chaffee's got it. It's gone short to Dragicevic. Good mark against McCartney, who really had to spoil, didn't he? The kick from Chaffee looked to put Dragicevic under the gun.
You would have backed Jason McCartney to have spoilt that 9 times out of 10, but I don't know, he just basically had an air swing.
I guess he did try to spoil in the end, but he's missed a lot. Dragicevic from the pocket. It's Richmond's second pick in the national draft last year, 55th overall. Hasn't taken long to break into league foot. He kicked a goal against the Swans last week. Close, they like it. It's a good kick from the kid. Well, McKernan and James missed a couple. Blurton missed the next one. But the 18-year-old from the pocket has been able to bring it back. And suddenly there's a bit of a lopsided look to the scoreboard.
If I was Denis Pagan, I think I'd be real worried. There he was, just floating into the forward line. The kick came over his shoulder. He kept his eye on it. And from a pretty tight angle, it was a very good finish. He had a little bit of a celebration afterwards. He was very happy with that. And he's been impressive since he's come on.
So North Melbourne's last goal came at the 10-minute mark of this second term. It's been a long drought. Simpson's lovely little hand pass to Longmire, but Longmire's kick has been safely marked on the last line of defence for the Tigers by Bowden. Good kick out wide, and the young man who kicked the Tigers' last goal has marked it safely. Wide at left half-back. His name is Mark Dragicevic, and you'll hear a lot more of him. Richardson, handball, James, missed it altogether. Pickett goes back to Longmire. Longmire's little kick is all right. Marcus taken by Scholl. Looks to play on. Craig Scholl. Left foot kick towards full forward. Tigers get back and get back in numbers, don't they? Bowden. He's had a sensational last 5 or 6 minutes. The little right foot kick punched away there from Rombotis by Grant. Forces a boundary throw in left half forward for North Melbourne, the Kangaroos.
You've got to wonder what's wrong with the Kangaroos forward line now. They've got no tools down there. Peter Bell found himself in a 2-on-1 situation. They've got no chance of taking a mark down there.
Boundary throw in. Longmire sets himself against Campbell. They're really playing Pagan's paddock, but they don't have Carey at the moment, as we well know, and James has taken the mark. Bowden's playing as a sweeper across half-back at the moment, and the full-back line's a beautiful kick to Rogers. Oh, good effort by Harvey to chip in. Back to Cochrane. He gets rid of Dragicevic. Then the kick's touched off the boot, so it's play on. Stevens waits. Daffy's tackle terrific because he could have taken him high. Stevens probably stiff in the end. What could I do, umpire? I mean, how could I get rid of it?
I don't think Anthony Stevens heard the call either, Bruce, so that makes it even tougher on him, but nevertheless, it's now been paid.
Certainly felt the tackle, John. I'm not sure about the call, but gee. Short kick is okay to Evans. That came from Daffy, as we see the replay there of Stevens. Evans to full forward, and getting back is Simpson to take the mark. Running off quickly, Shannon Grant. Between half-back and centre wing. 8-2 to 9-11. The Kangas need a goal late in this first half. Over the top, James has got it. They've had real problems, haven't they? Up forward, the Kangaroos in the second half of this second quarter. They've basically played without anyone forward of 50. Chaffee, a little kick round the body. Good to Kellaway.
Bit lucky, I think the handball to Evans might have been the better option.
So half-time, 8-2 to 9-11. And one of the tales we can tell from that second quarter, Jason, is that The Tigers kicked 4-6 to 2 goals. They had 10 scoring shots to 2. And they've taken a little bit of a grip on this game at half-time.
They certainly have. I fancied the Kangaroos before the match, but I'd certainly like to be backing the Tigers right now. And it's really worrying up forward for the Kangaroos. They don't seem to have a target capable of taking a mark and kicking a goal. And their disposal into the forward line in the last 10 or 15 minutes has been nothing short of atrocious.
Tigers have yet to beat the Kangaroos in the 90s on a Friday night. They've played them a few times. The Geesh, well, he'd be pumped a bit after a slow start. The Kangas kicked the first 3 goals of the match and 4 of the first 5, and now they see themselves trailing pretty badly at half-time. So there's Carey, the King, who spoke to Dipper prior to the match and told us that he wanted to play. Pagan said probably yes, but the doctor overruled them. So at half-time, it's Richmond 9-11-65, the Kangaroos 8-2-50. I think, Jace, you're not in this first.
Yes, get rid of that polystyrene cup there. And the thing is, too, it's such a long read. I mean, how are you supposed to do something like that?
So we had to get the Archer Pagan stuff in, and that held us up. But we had to get that in.
It sounded like it was a 2-minute read on 30 seconds. Hold it up.
Yep. What's going on? And then Mark with it. Hey, Donny, sorry about Mitre 10. I sort of got... I couldn't do it any quicker. Yeah, but I'll talk to Muddy. I'll probably reduce it from now on, but we had to get the Pagan Archer stuff in, and that held us up, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah, okay, mate. Welcome back to Friday night football at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, and after the Kangaroos jumped the Tigers, it's been the Tigers coming on strong, and at half-time they've got a 15-point lead, probably should be a little further in front. They lead 9-11 to 8 goals to. So 65-50, remembering that the Kangaroos have lost their first 2 matches here at the MCG in night footy. Well, what's going on in round 3? This is always a feature of Friday nights.
2 big scalps and the Cats have got the spark. Bring on the Shell Shock D's down at Shell Park.
Last 7 matches, the Cats have had them on the ropes.
But Glenn Lovett returns to raise demon hopes.
Back-to-back Crows right back in style, and grand final memories bring back a smile.
Whilst we baby the Saints had them rocking in the stands.
A winner's big as Stewie Lowe's hands. A champion falters, but the team stays strong. The Bombers' interim captain, 1M Long. This week, the Dons are looking to earn Olympic rings around Sydney. But this rising star looks the goods. Swans need more like him to get out of the woods. For the Dockers, it's been nearly but nothing so far.
Like the saying goes, close but no cigar.
Must beat the Hawks looking to bounce back this round as hard as Daniel did when his head hit the ground. Brisbane and Port, time to settle old scores. The last 2 encounters, both nail-biting draws. One Lion sure to be trying, striving for glory and fame. Mighty Marcus in his 200th game. Optus Oval, what's the score?
Looks like the housemates are going to war.
Cocky Brown, another 7. Doggy fans will be back in heaven. But Carlton are hoping for a repeat of last season. An 80-point thrashing, that's the Blues reason. Victoria Park, 2 games to go. Clash 1 v the Eagles, looking for 3 in a row. Buckley's in the outer.
It's time for the Rockers
to hit the heights and silence the knockers.
And that's what's going on as we go into round 3, starting with the Kangaroos and the Tigers here tonight. Well, our newsmaker tonight is David Burke. David's father was one of the all-time greats at Richmond, and to tell us about the Burke story, Mark Doran.
It looks like any other shop front, but step inside and you discover a tiger's den. The legendary Francis Burke, former Richmond coach, captain, best and fairest and premiership player, runs his business like a well-oiled machine.
So would you mind going and doing some work and help me out by going and dropping those papers off, please? Work.
It's son David he has to watch out for. And what she has, as injuries constantly interrupted a potentially brilliant career.
I had a doctor come over last year and he sort of gave me a rap sheet about this long of all my injuries and operations, and he said it was quite impressive for a man of my age.
Into his 5th season at Tigerland, David Burke has finally cracked 50 games. Unusually flexible ligaments, one of the reasons for his wretched run.
Was Kevin Bartlett playing when you started?
The 23-year-old says he's ready to deliver for the Tigers, acknowledging less time in the medical room may mean a more mature attack on the ball. Carrying his famous father's number 30 Guernsey, a major motivation.
It's been one of the great pleasures of my life to have my own son playing for my own football team.
So we'll be talking to David Burke via Mark Doran, win, lose or draw at the end of tonight's match. The Tigers going well at this stage. Jason Dunstall's going to join me in a moment as we assess what's happened in the opening half.
fact, I got it now. Victoria Better.
Good crowd here on a perfect autumn night, and they've seen a very competitive opening half that the Tigers got on top late and lead by 15 points. Wayne Cooey didn't play, but Glenn Archer's back, Jason, and he's had a fair impact both on and off the ground in the opening half, hasn't he?
He certainly has. Here's the free kick that he gave away. He tackled Chaffee after the ball had basically been disposed of. Again, followed up, tried to do the smother. Got dragged because he went off at the umpire. Had a very heated discussion with Denis Pagan through the phone now. Dennis has got a TV in the coach's box. He's seen what's happened, called him back, and probably said, enough of that, concentrate on the job at hand. He's going, well, hang on, it wasn't against me. And then he had a chat to him at quarter time. So, look, I think Dennis is just getting in the head of Arch because he does have a fiery temper. He needs him playing his best footy. And in the second quarter, he was one of their best players.
Yeah, he's very important to them. He went back in defence, but some fascinating stuff there between one of the champions and the coach. Blurton, the first one he missed it from where I was watching. I reckon it went through, but we'll never know, I don't think. But the second one was a pretty costly miss. But he's had two good chances, hasn't he?
It certainly was. You would have backed him London to a brick on, but I think he threw his hands up in despair. He just nicked the inside of the post. And this was beautiful roving off the pack. He was where he should have been, front and square, ran into an open goal. And if he had have kicked those two goals, you would think that they'd probably opened up a winning break.
Richardson's play in the first half is symbolic of Richardson's career. He's teased us a bit. He's been good, but he took one mark we're going to remember for a long time.
Oh, he certainly has. And the key to this is just keep your eye on Matthew Richardson's eyes. They are focused. He knew the pressure was coming. He got his hands to the ball. He's watching it come down. He threw out, and he's still watching it, even though he's virtually flipping over on his back. And only he had arms long enough to take that, I think.
It's a classic mark, and he hit the post from that kick. Daffy on the run at pace. You were really impressed with this goal. You felt it was a turning point for him in the match, didn't you?
It was. He gathered half a dozen possessions very quickly after this. It wasn't a great handball from Matthew Richardson, but he collected it on the bounce. He accelerated away from Anthony Stevens, and whilst it didn't look pretty, that was the intended result. He tried to keep it low, and it had the desired effect. That's a fantastic goal to run at full pace and kick on your opposite foot from a tight angle. Now, don't worry about whether it spins in a pretty fashion or not. That's a sensational goal in any man's language.
I think he and Stevens have both had 10 kicks going into half-time, so they've had plenty of it. Blakey's been pretty good. Bowden was able to hold him up at one stage. Blakey broke his stride in this incident.
He did. He just wasn't sure what he wanted to do. He needed to get the ball on quickly. They had a chance there, but that's a fantastic tackle. He's wrapped him up, ball and all, and in the end, he got the free kick, and he actually picked up some good possessions playing loose in defence late in the second quarter there.
Now, the match stats are going to show that Richmond have had a lot more of it than the Kangaroos to half-time.
Well, they certainly have. You look at the stats, you might even expect them to have a bigger lead, even though the centre breaks favour the Kangaroos. We said they needed to win it out of the middle, but they're just not doing enough up front.
Look at the inside 50s, 41 to 24. That's a huge gap there in favour of Richmond. So the Tigers are going to be hard to beat. Name a game if you'd like this match or any match, any club throughout the season as a video. And remember of some of the big ones, 1800 035 665 is the number for Name a Game. Well, 15 points behind at half-time, the Kangaroos yet to win a game in 1999. What will the second half bring us? We'll find out as we return after this. Welcome back at half-time. Friday night football at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. And the Tigers lead the Kangaroos by 15 points. They've kicked 8 of the last 12 goals in this match after North came out running and kicked the first 3. And it's 9-11 to 8 goals to. Just a reminder about Sunday night. This is a special time. It's Adelaide and St Kilda. Just take note of the time on Sunday night for that telecast. 8:30 in Melbourne and the Gold Coast, 9 o'clock Adelaide and 11:15 in Perth. So that should be a big, big match. Be hard to beat here, the Tigers.
They certainly will be. Interesting to note the Tigers have been out there for a while. The Kangaroos just coming out now. I'm sure Denis Pagan had plenty to say.
Dipper's been on the boundary line watching everything. Got Wayne Carey before the match.
Yeah, sensational game so far for the Tigers. And does the North Melbourne bring out the best in size? I saw the Tigers play last week and I thought they struggled with their skill level over the ground. And but tonight they've been very, very hard at the ball. And as the boys have mentioned upstairs, difficult to kick goals for North Melbourne, but Scotty Welsh did well in the first quarter, but David Burke's come up and covered him nicely. And Aaron James, the, well, I suppose the new recruit for the Tigers, done really, really well tonight, as you guys have mentioned throughout the night. But he's actually taller than what I thought he was, about 6'3", and Geeson's still out there with the Tigers. He knows this game is very, very important. And the thing is about North Melbourne, Bruce, is that we see them most Friday nights here, and over the last 3 or 4 weeks, they seem not to be able to kick goals in the second half. So let's see what happens tonight.
Yes, they've had a couple of disappointing results late in matches. Alan Joyce, Jeff Geeshan, but they, I think that almost intimidation they had over the competition for a while may have gone at the moment. No Carey, obviously, no King, no Capuano, but I think clubs realise if they can actually stand up to the pressure of North, in the end, they've got a very good chance of hanging on themselves.
You're spot on, Bruce. They just don't look as formidable a foe at the moment. They don't have that air of confidence, almost arrogance about them. And let me tell you, they're feeling the pressure themselves, the Kangaroos, and they realise how much is at stake tonight. They need to do something special to turn this match around.
They're 0-2 going in. Tigers haven't been all that convincing. They beat Sydney last week narrowly in a game that apparently was pretty scrappy, and they failed to Melbourne in the opening round. But this could set their season up with 2 wins in their first 3. But anyway, there's a long way to go. David Burke. Who's on the interchange for the Kangaroos, Dipper?
We've got Robert Scott, Adam Lang, Brady Rawlins and Stuart Corcoran.
So a bit of inexperience here, except for Scotty. He hasn't had much on field time tonight.
And for the Tigers, Bruce, as we see him warming up along the boundary line here, we have Rory Hilton, Robert Powell, Paul Broderick and Benny Moore.
And Jason McCartney already going to Matthew Richardson.
Yes, so Mickey's got a different opponent by the look of it. Well, early stages of this third quarter will tell a tale, I think. Second half, Friday night, Melbourne Cricket Ground. Big crowd now. And stakes are high here. Longmire and McKee. Clayton in hard. Dragicevic to McKee. It was a good handball. McKee over the top, weighted it beautifully. Daffy, he rode the butt. Can't get a handball away. They were onto him quickly. Richmond winning a free kick. I think it's Richardson claiming it, but Simpson able to get out of it and belt the ball out towards the boundary line. There's a bit of play going on behind. Bell's in there with Richardson and also Stevens and Daffy. And it'll be a boundary throw in as Daffy picks himself up and picks Peter Bell up as well. Players getting on with it now. It's Daffy. Abraham in hard. He rode it pretty well, Daffy. Went to ground and couldn't quite get an effective handball away. Campbell trying to work it forward. He does. Pike, tackle, free kick coming back to Richmond.
In the ruck contest, Bruce.
Free kicks were 15-6 in favour of the Tigers at half-time. It was a bit of a surprise. Knights feeds off McKee. Gets himself into trouble. Back to McKee. Got crunch Knights. They're taking a while to get it clear. Rogers squeezes it around the body to half forward. Pushed out of it, Rombotis. Taken by Abraham. Abraham kicks in the direction of Durkay. He's got him at centre wing. Always looks to be at half pace, Durkay. So when it comes off, it looks great. Blakey will fancy himself here for a goal. 48 metres out. He has gone and hit the post. Gave it the best he had, and it was close. And the veteran has hit the post. 51 plays 65. Knights getting up.
Yes, well, he was met pretty heavily, Matthew Knights. Just probably lost himself in that passage of play. Usually has complete control. James, a long kick well outside the defensive 50. Knocked away from Longmire. Ball gathered by Clayton, gets it back to Abraham. Abraham's little kick smothered off the boot. It's still in play. Longmire doesn't mess around. Kicks it quickly with the left foot. James. Chaffee. Close to the boundary line. Daffy gets the ball to McKee. McKee is not quite up to centre wing. Looking for someone to lead down the ground. Now he goes long towards half forward. Richardson does well. Knocks it forward into the path of Rombotis and Bell. And the ball spills away from both of those players for a throw-in. 65 plays 51 early in the third term. It's the Tigers leading by 14 points. They've controlled the footy. They've been inside their forward 50 over twice as many times as the Kangaroos have. Pike gets the ball down, but only as far as Evans. He's tackled there by Bell, and it's not clear for another throw-in. Pretty good crowd here on Friday night for this round 3 clash between the Tigers and the Kangaroos. Much has been said of the fact that the Kangaroos yet to win a game, facing a nil-win, 3-loss situation if they can't get over the Tigers tonight. McKee takes it out of the air. Taken to the ground was Evans. gathered there by Simpson. Simpson forces it forward for the Kangaroos. Where are the Crummers? No need to. Welsh's mark in front of Burke.
60 metres out. He kicked a couple of goals in the opening turn.
Good lead.
Durkay's got it.
He got him again. He took him one way, doubled back, and Kellaway, eventually the defender has to look at the ball, and when their eyes leave the opponent and go to the ball, you head the other way. Durkay did that. A very good pass and a desperately needed goal here from Gary Durkay.
Showed some acceleration there, didn't he?
As you said, Bruce, he was moving quickly, but didn't look like he was straining, did he?
Needs to kick this. He's there to kick a couple a week, you think, over the course of a year. Probably a 40-goal man they'd want. And that's good. The first goal of the second half. That'll lift him. It'll also give the Kangaroos another scoring option up forward, which they've been looking desperately for in this match today.
Well, it certainly is a great boost for the Kangaroos. A fantastic mark taken there. He just read it a little bit better, Scott Welsh, and he waited. The lead came, put it out in front, and Durkay did the rest. And they're leaving him one out when the ball's up the ground.
Smart kick by Scott Welsh. Good goal to Gary Durkay. The Tigers had doubled the Kangaroos' scoring shots at half-time. They may pay for not being further ahead. Knights, beautifully tackled by Stevens. The spillage gathered by Simpson. Simpson's kick towards full forward. In goes Durkay. He's got two in a minute. Well, you'd have to say it's probably less than a minute. He kicked the goal. It went back to the centre. And from the centre clearance, Durkay on the end of it in the finish. And he's got the Kangaroos' second goal of the third term.
Two in a couple of minutes, Robbo, and they're working him out of the square. Initially, he was on his own. Now, Johnny Longmire's had a rest in the ruck. McKernan's gone in the ruck. Longmire down to full forward. He just read it better than the rest of the players. And this is just the start that Denis Pagan would have been looking for.
They've been on to Knights quickly too. Twice they've been able to put a tackle on Knights at the start of this half.
Well, that's true too, Bruce. And Matthew Knights just being forced to allow the ball to spill free. So watching that with a lot of interest. McKee doing the ruck work with McKernan. McKernan's big punch goes pretty well straight up in the air. Knights to swoop onto the football. Little hand pass all right for Gasper. Gasper from the centre of the ground. Goes straight towards goal for the Tigers. At the back was Blurton, couldn't take the mark. Taken away by Pickett. Little kick by Pickett is terrific. Smart play again. Simpson to Clayton. Clayton, who kicked the goal in the first quarter, goes towards full forward. Big leap by Harvey. Durkay nearly on the end of that as well. Kellaway under there. Gaspar. Still a struggle for the Tigers to get clear of their full-back area. Rogers, the kick slips off the side of his boot. But fortunately for the Tigers, it does result in a boundary throw in about 85 metres around from the goal at which they're defending. The main scoreboard end here at the MCG, which has seen 2 goals added to the Kangaroos score from half-time, and still the Tigers to add to their half-time tally. Stevens not able to break away. You can see a couple of the interesting matchups there in the top of the screen as the umpire will prepare to bounce. Richmond lead by 2 points. Quiet time for their fans early in the third term. Umpires there officiating in this match. Knights this time successfully gets it to Dragicevic. His kick though not marked back there by Abraham. Now Bell to McCartney. McCartney from pretty well a standing start. The kick to half forward, gathered by James. That was good. Gathered well by McKee as well.
Looks good, McKee. Wobbles it very well to Evans. Evans quickly out wide. Rombotis had trouble with the pace of the game tonight. Rombotis kicks inside, not a good kick. Pickett has got it. He's really struggled, John Rombotis, tonight. The ball out wide to Blakey. These are good moments for the Kangaroos. They've got the Richmond side a bit rattled. Durkay front spot. Kellaway belts it away. Tried to read it well. Back to Durkay. In trouble. Kellaway gets it out to Campbell. Campbell's back turn was terrific. Knights, who's getting plenty of it again. Richardson, front spot. McCartney, great mark. Richardson, he went early and held his ground. He's got Chappie running on. He saw him now. Not a particular...
Look out!
Oh, well done, Chappie. Mickey was coming.
Coming like a steam train.
Oh, that's what you love to see in footy, though, isn't it, Jason? I mean, that's great.
Goes on quickly to centre half forward. He's got it. That's a strong mark. Coming in late there was it Shannon Grant? On Holland. Gee, Chaffey's effort, because he knew Mickey was coming. And he turned his body around and kept his eye on it. Martin coming in hard, and
he just eased off a little bit, Mickey. I think he could have killed him. He just eased off a little. And fantastic of Chaffey to get up, quickly gather his senses and spot the player in a much better position all on his own, Ben Holland.
Who's the man that Mickey's actually on. He was on Richardson.
Dirty on that too.
So Holland, who kicked a goal in the first quarter, he's been the leading goal kicker for the club in the first 2 rounds so far. Very deliberately kicks for goal, and they like it. He's got it. So Holland gets his second, and for the second time tonight, Shannon Grant has found himself trying to mark against either Ben Holland or Matthew Richardson, and you don't fancy chances overhead against those two.
You certainly don't, and here's Chaffey really keeping his eye on the ball. He knew Mick was coming, and I'd hate to think what would have happened if Mick put his head down and went full ball. He would have knocked him into next week. But that's a very, very courageous mark, and that's Mark Chaffey's goal.
Well, the Tigers getting plenty out of their tall forwards. Brad Ottens has kicked 2 goals. Richardson has kicked 2, and Ben Holland has kicked 2. McKee doing the ruck work back in the middle of the ground, gathered by Bell. Away to Simpson. Simpson's quick kick. Oh, great hands by Gaspar. Then it gets the hand pass. No, not far enough. Swooping on it, Stevens. Ball back to Daffy. Doesn't mess around. Hacks it out of the air towards half forward. Punched away by the Kangaroos' defence. Wasn't that brilliant ball handling by Winston Abraham? It is an oval ball, folks. Don't worry about that. You may have thought it was round then. Punched away by Callaway. Back in the direction of Bowden. Lovely hand pass. Sets it up for James. James out wide to Campbell. Campbell to use the footy, and he does well. He finds Chaffey again, and he's recovered from that Martin clash just a few moments ago. Chaffey quickly lets himself down. He didn't really go back far enough, and he coughed it up the lane. No, Evans wasn't on Simpson.
High tackle and advantage, Robbo.
Advantage, thanks, John. Pike towards full forward. 2-on-1 back there. Burke again. Big left hand whack away there by David Burke. Advantages Rogers. Rogers, the kick out wide to the wing. Blakey and Bowden. John Blakey's been terrific. He's tried very hard. Grant looks, delivers. Back there is Callaway. Also James. Rogers just gets his hand on it, and I think a desperate attempt by Matthew Rogers has paid off because the Tigers have forced a bounce.
Yeah, they've had a couple of opportunities, the Kangaroos. They just haven't brought the ball into the forward line well. Martin Pike earlier kicked long when he had Winston Abraham all on his own at half forward.
Gee, Evans screwed on that reverse angle. Back to Simpson. Simpson around the body. Bouncing ball. Knight's getting back. Had a look. So clever. Normally a brilliant kick. Look at that. Oh, he cuts through a defence to Chaffey, who's played well except for a moment ago. Richo the target. McCartney at the back. Pike to get back under the hammer. Boundary throw in at 50. Next 5 minutes, I reckon, is a real key here. The Kangaroos have come out and challenged. Richmond have got one back. Let's see what happens now in the next few minutes of this match. Can the Kangaroos stay with the Tigers or even make an inroad? Or can the Tigers kick away? That's what we're going to find out. The feeling here is that the Tigers have got the match in control. They don't lead by a lot, though, and they're against a very proud team. Bell to Abraham, and a very skillful team. Back to Bell. Runs to half forward with a quick kick. A bouncing ball. Attacking it was Lang. Couldn't quite. James, he's got him. Play on call. Stevens. Knights gets back. Stevens paddles forward courageously. Well done, Callaway. Terrific footy to James, who's having the match of his life, I reckon. To centre wing. Front spot was Chaffey. He's playing as well as Daffy tonight. Back inside to Dragosevic. Dragosevic down the field. Against Clayton or Abraham.
Against Abraham, Bruce.
Thanks, John. Bowden to take it right in front of our commentary box. And quickly on to Dragosevic. Dragosevic touches the ground. He's a bit slow. Gets the kick away. Well done by Abraham. Pickett gets it. Bangs it out. Shannon Grant's away.
Yeah, just an important metre or so there for Winston Abraham. Grant is at left half back. Takes plenty of time and then kicks to half forward. Back there is Burke. an important right hand on the football, plays it in front of himself and forces a throw.
I'll tell you what, that chase by Winston Abraham before, when Dragicevic ran on, Abraham didn't want to chase initially when the ball came over, but when he saw him have a bounce, he accelerated in a matter of strides.
He probably wanted to avoid the Pagan serve.
Yes.
For giving away that free kick.
Oh, Campbell was good again. Bowden in turn wide for Daffy. Daffy with just a little bit of space. Oh, the mark there dropped by Richardson. He had it spent before he gathered it. McCartney's handball away. Richmond onto it. Back there is Chaffee. Just took a little second or three and was run down. Knocked away by Clayton. Kicked off the ground by Scholl. Still the Kangaroos trying to force an opportunity on their forward line. James to play the percentages maybe. No, it's still in the field of play. Still Aaron James. Inside, Lang gets it back. Chance for Clayton. Well done by both sides there to keep it in, because there was a chance that either one could have been penalised. Close to the boundary line. Callaway, not a bad kick in the circumstances. Dragicevic to Gaspar. Gaspar into the middle of the ground. Now the race is on. Which way will the ball bounce? It is a devil of a thing when it bounces awkwardly, as it did just then. Richardson to gather, made the football his, put it towards full forward. Still the Tigers. No, at the end of that is Blakey. Through the middle of the MCG goes John Blakey. 3 bounces, tries to set it up on his right, forced to kick with the left. Good kick, but getting back and making safely in the square is Wayne Campbell for the Tigers.
Trouble up forward for the Kangaroos. They don't have any leading options.
Exciting stuff, Robbo. Campbell's kick, good one to Bowden. Both ends of the ground this. As I said, I reckon this little patch here is telling us something, isn't it? They're both having a crack at one another. 71 to 63. Bowden, well, he had confidence. He was good enough to find Kellaway in a cramped position. Kellaway sold a dummy and then kicks. Otten's behind. Archer did well to make a contest. Richardson releases Chaffee. Chaffee on the left. Kicks inside 50. Can Evans take a big one? Ball comes to ground. Pickett's so good. Just snaps it up and then kicks beautifully to Blakey in the centre of the ground. Blakey onto it in a hurry. Goes long towards Durkay out wide. Burke has been one-handed most of the night. Durkay in pursuit. Burke's kick around the corner. Goes for the line and finds it.
I'll tell you, it's been a great game just on ground level down here. Young Chaffee has just been brilliant for the Tigers tonight.
He's had plenty of it, the dip. He's had 20 times he's got the footy. Every now and then he lets himself down with his disposal, but you can't knock his endeavour. He's been at it all night. Handball by Scholl to Stevens. Stevens goes to centre half forward. Good kick. Wells couldn't hold on to it. Burke had a go. Simpson comes through. Wobbles it to full forward. Wobbles it through for a goal. It's a tight match now. I think we're in for a cliffhanger. The Kangas have been able to get 3 of the first 4 goals in the second half as they did in the opening quarter.
Well done by Adam Simpson there. It really wasn't much of a chance. He grabbed it. Kick coming in from Anthony Stevens.
It's a very good kick from Stevens, and Welsh really should have taken the mark. He just ran underneath it, but Simpson roved the ball beautifully, and we've got a real game on our hands here now.
Well, the goal kicked by that player on screen, Adam Simpson.
Welsh off
Sorry, Dipko.
Yeah, Welsh off the ground and corporate on, boys.
Brings the margin back to 2 behinds, or 2 points in favour of the Tigers. McKee has done some pretty good work in the ruck. That kick by Knights has been marked by Grant at half back for the Kangaroos. Grant's kick lands the ball close to half forward. Spills to the back. Chaffee again. Possession number 21 to that player. James, short kick finds Daffy. Nick Daffy. Kicks with the left foot, gets pretty good distance too. He's a natural right footer. The kick lands at half forward. Now the crumbs. Mick Martin tries to barge his way through. Chaffee again. Powell. Burke. Dispossessed. Gathered there by Richardson. Hand pass intercepted by Pickett. Knocks it clear. Chance for Bell. Bell quickly onto his right. Towards half forward. Gathered here by McKee. His game has been okay. Knights in the middle of the ground. In trouble. Bounces, it didn't come back to him. Now the kick is all right, well done. He was under a bit of pressure and he found the youngster Dragicevic. In towards Rogers, breaks the tackle, round onto the right, gets good distance. A hurried kick towards half forward. The Kangaroos mess it up. Comes back to Powell. Powell's quick kick. They got 2-on-1, the Tigers. Richardson dispossessed. Well done, Pike. But was that deliberate? Look at the umpire. Everybody did here at the MCG, but he's given the all clear for a boundary throw in.
Good tight stuff. Richmond probably, option-wise, haven't been all that smart in the second half. Just struggling to get it to happen forward. Pickett to Grant, who's had a good patch on Broderick. Grant away to Blakey. Blakey outside 50 now. How fit is this man at 32? What a player he's been, and then carries the ball with a long kick. James, that's a mark. It's the best game I've seen him play.
By a long shot. He's put Kernan right out of the game, and now he's on Adam Lang, and he really hasn't given him a sniff.
Kellaway's the target. It might miss him. Bell, the Tigers have been missing their targets a bit too often. Durkay at centre wings. Kicked 2 goals in the second half. Good kick to McKernan. Haven't seen a lot of Big Corey. He missed an important kick in the second quarter. If he could bang this through, the Kangas will be back in front. He's capable.
Big torpedo.
He fancies it. Doesn't get onto it. It's going to lob in the goal square. Belted away at the back. Gasper, Knights, Burke gets around Simpson. Then a bounce. Bouncing ball, the handball. Mitch Kellaway's made a mule of it. Gets back. A mess of it to Burke, to Campbell. They had some time. Touches the ground. Campbell then keeps it down low to half forward. Holland couldn't quite. Boundary throw in. Mickey getting his hands in. 71. Plays 69. The Tigers are about 80 metres from goal at right half forward.
It's amazing. If you get numbers around the ball, you get the footy about 90 times out of 100.
You certainly do, Robbo.
The Tigers have been pretty good at that for most of the night. Just out of the reach there of Ben Holland and Mickey Martin able to knock it clear. They're going to do the ruck work, both of those players. It comes clear to Simpson, gathered here by Campbell. Effective hand pass. Daffy over the top. Knights left it behind. Well, gee whiz, in this quarter, Matthews had his hands on the ball about 8 times. Hasn't really capitalised. He did there. He got it back and gave it to Joel Bowden. And don't worry about Joel Bowden kicking the distance. I think in his first season we saw him kick 4 or 5 sensational goals in a game here at the MCG. As we have another look at Matthew Knights, just getting his second chance there. The ball not bounding away far enough, and his kick finding Bowden inside 50. They lead by 2 points, the Tigers. Bowden maybe to stretch it to 8 if he can kick accurately. Gets good distance with the kick. It goes right to the line. Evans got his hands on it, couldn't take the mark. Pickett, handball over the top. Kangaroos come bouncing clear of their full back line. Pike, wider still. Grant ducks back onto his left. Kicks into the middle, doesn't waste it. Blakey's been a key player in the middle of the ground for the Kangaroos. Hooks the kick over his left shoulder towards half forward. Punched away. Durkay, well done. Clayton will get the goal. He won't, he'll miss. Should have kicked that, perhaps, Shane Clayton. One of the easier chances in this match so far. 1 goal, 1 against his name. Richmond by a point, as the Kangaroos 11-4. The Tigers 10-11. 21 scoring shots to 15.
Bowden, I think, did he kick over the line, John?
It would look as though there's a free kick being paid to to the Kangaroos.
John, I think that was against David Burke at centre-half back. He was involved in a tussle and he's played it back in the goal square.
The reason for that, Mark, is that the free kick is paid where the infringement occurs or at the spot.
It's a goal.
Where the ball is, whichever is the greater penalty. So in this case...
So talk us through it, John.
Well, the free kick was actually paid at centre-half forward, but because the ball was in the goal square, when the infringement is detected, the kick is paid wherever the greatest penalty will arise, and obviously it's the greater penalty to award the free kick at the top of the goal square, which is what happened there.
And Mark, did you see the incident?
Yes, I did, Johnny. It was just at centre-half back as they were trying to get the kick out happening, just a bit of pushing and shoving. I think Berkey was unlucky. He was the retaliator, but he got caught.
Well, what a turnaround here for the Kangaroos, who are in front after Burke was penalised at centre-half back, and Abraham from the goal square kicks his second. The Tigers with work to do. Knights kicks to centre-half forward, so the Kangas have come back strongly. They've kicked 4 of the 5 in this term. Going to ground, Powell. Rogers was strong there to Richardson, who struggled a bit in this quarter. Able to stroke a tackle.
Great smother.
Pickett has been sensational. So's Shannon Grant and Blakey. They've been the three at the back that have held up the Tigers. Powell's handball. Squeezed it to Bowden. Bowden down the line good to Campbell. Campbell under pressure did very well. Back to Rogers. Spin it. Rogers paddles it back inboard. James half pace. Shrugs a tackle. Powell with a bit of run. Tigers just overusing it a bit. To Knights at half forward. Steady it down. Kangaroos lead 76-71. It's been a good saute by the Kangaroos in the second half. Knights refuses to waste a footy. Then goes to the pocket with a well-weighted kick. And that's a terrific play to Ottens. Beautiful kick.
He's had 11 touches in this quarter, Matthew Knights. But I reckon if he'd have grabbed hold of the footy on each time he's had his hands, it would have been about 21.
You're spot on, Robbo.
Oh, dear.
I'm amazed at the amount of space he's getting. And look, if you give this bloke space, he's going to cut you up. He just hung on to that kick until the right option came, and it was a spot-on kick.
Ottens kicked a goal in the first, he kicked a goal in the second. This will test him, but from what we've seen tonight, he's a good kick for goal. Just 19 years of age. Number 2 draft picked in 97. What a great draft that's turned out to be. Troy Johnston went at 1. Ottens at 2 and Trent Crode at 3. They're 3 very good footballers, aren't they? Saw this bloke's dad play a lot of good football for Sturt in South Australia, and his brothers at Melbourne. From the pocket. It's a good kick. It's his third. So the lead changes hands yet again. We've had a few lead changes. 7 lead changes in this match. And again, the Tigers hit the front by the barest of margins. They led 11-11 to 12-4.
Well, it certainly is a worry. We said one of the things early on that the Kangaroos had to do was limit Daffy and Knights. Daffy's had it 18 times. Knights has had it 23 times. And every time he gets it, he puts it to good use. It was a wonderful pass to Ottens. And that's a fantastic kick from the big fellow deep in the left, out on the left half-forward flank.
Well, certainly looks very much a big star of the future, Brad Ottens. And the raps on him that I mentioned earlier look as though they're going to come to fruition. And the Tigers are going to get plenty of football out of the young man. Daffy, Blurt gathers and kicks it quickly. Well done by Rombotis, just to hold it up. Goes back again. Now this is Rogers.
Free kick back on the edge of the square, Robbo.
Going to
be paid to the Roos.
Well, it's a goal kick by Rogers, but it's not going to count, unfortunately. So settle down, those yellow and black streamers and flags and whatever else. It's not going to count, folks. It's a free kick to the Kangaroos. McKernan's kick to half forward. James to Knights. Knights rather efficiently. I think it was meant for Burke, but Daffy was there to help. So was Callaway. Out wide, good kick. Richardson, handball away. Campbell doesn't mind this circumstance. Wayne Campbell beautifully guided through for a goal to Richmond. Well, we've seen him do that on a few occasions, Wayne Campbell. That's his first. But by gee, it was a good answer for the Tigers after the Kangaroos got the lead a few moments ago.
Certainly was a tremendous finish. A good kick to the Matthew Richardson lead. He didn't even bother getting up. He fed the ball off to Wayne Campbell, and that's a deadly finish. There's a lot of similarities between the start of the third quarter and the start of the match. The Kangaroos came out with everything. The Tigers have answered.
Geez, a mighty roar around the ground tonight after the Campbell goal. Kangaroos again find themselves struggling. 12-11 to 12-4. Been a really good game of footy. Hope you're enjoying it on 7 around Australia. McKernan, Powell, little one to Bowden. Lucks a fortune. Bowden to full forward. Mickey Martin out in front. Couldn't hold the mark. Goes off the ground. All close. Just in. Boundary throw in. What a great character he is, Mickey Martin. 30 years of age. Couple of best and fairest to his credit when the side was struggling in the late 80s, early 90s, pre-Denis Pagan. Powell did well to get rid of Pickett. Daffy tried to shrug Mickey off. It'll be a boundary throw-in. Look at that midfield of Richmond. Campbell, 22 possessions. Daffy, 19. Knights, 24. Chaffey, 22. They are big numbers, aren't they? was one of the things we talked about, that Jason pointed out at the start of the match. Daffy again kicks the ball inside the 50. Rombotis couldn't quite. Here's Chaffee. Good shepherd by Burke. Richardson caught underneath it. Campbell drifting down. It comes back to Rawlings. Rawlings gets it outside 50 with a hurried kick. Clayton is leading Chaffee and Blurton to the ball. Boundary throw in. You sense here that late in this quarter the Kangaroos are just hanging on desperately now, wanting three-quarter time to come.
Still only 7 points though. Still pretty tight.
It is, Robbo. James and Cochrane. Stevens. Powell goes back to Chaffee, to Rogers, who's worked his way into the game very well. He's on centre wing.
Looks as though he may have been given a more important role around the middle of the ground, Matthew Rogers, in this third term. He's had 4 or 5 possessions, and that kick will go right to the goal line, but a good mark taken back there for the Kangaroos by Simpson. 83 plays 76. We're very close to three-quarter time. That could be the three-quarter time score that you saw just a moment ago. Burke couldn't take the mark. Hacked out of there by Anthony Stevens. Boundary throw in on centre wing.
Rob, it's just difficult to see where the Kangaroos are going to get some goals from. They have no one in there attacking 50 and the ball's on centre wing. I just don't understand why they don't have a leading option up forward.
4 goals in this term so far to the Kangaroos, but the Tigers have had the answers. They've kicked 3 against that. Abraham to Bell. Back it goes to Clayton. Kangaroos are a chance if they can mark this kick. Back goes Callaway. With him is Durkay. Callaway hacks it out of there. Durkay get his third for the quarter. No, missed to the right. Had a chance there, Gary Durkay. 2 goals, 1 against his name. Right on the three-quarter time siren. And that would have set up a fantastic last quarter. Right now, it's 1 straight kick the difference. Richmond 83. Lead the Kangaroos 77. And Joel Bowden, all he'll have a chance to do is kick it in. So don't make a mistake. He doesn't know how much time's left. But that kick goes wide in the direction of David Burke. And there is the siren. It is three-quarter time. Friday night football at the MCG sees the Tigers hold a slender lead. They are 12-11, 83. The Kangaroos 12-5, 77. And the Richmond side have had good efforts from their big men. Ottens, Matthew Richardson and Ben Holland are all multiple goal kickers for the Kangaroos. Durkay, Winston Abraham and Scott Welsh have kicked 2 each.
Well, they haven't won a last quarter in 1999, the Kangaroos, and Richmond have won both of theirs, so the Kangas need a big finish here. They're close enough, as Robbo said. There's only a kick in it. A goal the difference. Jeff Geeshan, in his couple of matches against Denis Pagan, has been victorious on both occasions. And the Tigers, who have made most of the running tonight, have a slender lead at three-quarter time. It should be a thrill of the last quarter. Stay with us. Richmond lead 12-11 to the Roos 12-5. Welcome back to the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Richmond in front, as they've been for most of the match since the early stages of the opening term. But there's a game to be won here. We've said a few times, stakes are high tonight for both these teams. 12-11 plays 12 goals 5, 83 to 77. Well, Ben Holland, not bad. It's been okay. Kicked a couple. 7 in 2 going in. Make that 9 in 3. Craig Scholl.
I think they've got to use him up forward. They did that last week with great success. Denis has got to come up with a winning option up forward. That's something they've struggled to do. McKernan hasn't been, or hasn't had much influence on the game at all. And I think Craig Scholl might be the answer to go forward. Look for him to do that, or at least someone to be a leading target up forward for the Kangaroos.
Captain's been terrific again tonight.
Oh, he certainly has. He's just knocked up getting the ball. And as Robbo said in that last quarter, he got his hands to it probably half a dozen times, where he just had it spent before he actually took possession of it. And he's had 24 touches. He could have 30 to his name.
Shannon Grant, who's tucked in there somewhere. He's been pretty good, Shannon Grant, tonight.
He's had 17 touches. He's run the ball well out of defence.
Long time since he missed a match. That's an impressive stat for a kid.
It certainly is, particularly in, well, these days of football. That shows great durability.
Both at Sydney and now at the Kangaroos. Gee, Ottens, I know Robbo likes him. I think we all do.
Well, he's been the surprise packet. We said that they needed to share the workload up forward. Holland's kicked a couple of goals, but Brad Ottens has managed to chip in with 3 goals, and that's been crucial to the state of the game.
Byron Pickett's had a lot of it again tonight.
Yeah, for mine, probably the best player for the Kangaroos. He's exciting when he tucks it under the arm and dashes out of defence. He's had a lot of the ball, and he's broken down quite a few forward thrusts.
Matthew Richardson, again, an interesting match. Flawed at times, but he's made a contribution.
He makes the difficult look easy, and he makes the easy look insanely difficult at times. But he had a separate opponent that time. Jason McCartney went on to him, and, well, this man, Corey McKernan, if there to be any sort of hope, he's got to bob up and kick 2 or 3 goals this quarter.
Hasn't done enough. The big dipper at 3/4 time.
Yeah, plenty of voice used by both coaches, and Jeff Gish has just got his boys pumped up. He just said, this one is for the Tigers tonight. We've got to win this one for a real confidence builder for the Tigers. And there's a real pit stop too for the Tigers. Daffy's had his ankles restrapped. About 4 of their players, Richo, Bowden, and also Aaron James, who are suffering from cramp during the 3rd quarter. Let's hope they don't fall down by cramp then, eh?
Interesting stuff, thanks, Tipper. Big last quarter. Kangaroos 6 points behind. Remember, beaten twice this year, the Cats and the Bombers in big night matches at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Richmond yet to beat the Kangaroos in a Friday night match here. They've beaten them in a Monday night game, but not in a Friday night match in the 90s. Ottens gets over the top. Well done by Pike. Then off balance to centre wing. Chaffee, was that a throw?
Oh, that was yes.
To Daffy. Inside 50. First goal here is critical. Holland misses Blurton. Blurton then takes a while to get onto it. Then gets it back. Holland outside 50, off 1 step. Just kicks away. Underneath at Archer, who we didn't see much of in the 3rd quarter. And he takes a courageous mark, sitting underneath it. Archer out wide to Grant. Grant and Scott. Grant was terrific in that 3rd quarter, along with Blakey. And Pickett coming off half-back. Gets it to Stevens. Stevens down to the line to the centre. Gasper front spot, not paid. Bowden, gee, had it for a long time. He's picked that for the ball.
Well done, Craig Scholl.
Scholl to Stevens. Stevens delivers to McKernan. Got him. That's better. Well, you intimated at 3/4 time when we looked at McKernan that he needs to lift, Jason, for the Kangaroos to win.
And Denis Pagan has given him the chance. He's popped him down at full forward. He said, you're the big fella, we'll kick it to you. You've got to take the marks. Anthony Stevens, a wonderful kick running through the centre of the ground. A good lead and a terrific grab, but he just has to finish.
This to tie it all up, to make the scores level.
His hands had swallowed the ball.
Straight in front, it's a goal. It's all square. 2 goals to McKernan. Stevens terrific. 2 important kicks in that passage of play. And the game is all tied up.
Set up by Craig Scholl, wasn't it? Just his persistence there in the tackle near the middle of the ground.
And then the quick handball to Anthony Stevens. And he knows what to do with the ball. Long and direct, straight up the middle. And Corey McKernan did the rest. Those big hands wrapped around the ball. And that's the sort of kick he needed to just lift his confidence a touch.
Well, he did spray one in the 2nd term, missed everything down to that end, but on that occasion kicked accurately. Longmire beaten for it by Ottens. It was a big punch. Burton, little
Blurton rather, little tap, but kicked away by Bell. Bell back towards half forward. Getting rid of his opponent there was Scholl, but Rogers is there for the Tigers. 83 apiece. Plenty of time left in the last quarter for lots of action still in this game between the Tigers and the Kangaroos. At left half back for Richmond. Is that a mark? It's been paid to Shane Clayton. No, what's happened? Yes, it is.
Yeah, the mark paid, Robert.
Clayton from between wing and right half forward. Kicks it in towards half forward. That's a mark, isn't it, the Welsh? Not paid, maybe a push.
Half volley. Robbo just touched the deck before he took it, so play-on was the call.
Well, no remonstrations there from the player, Scott Welsh, being opposed in that circumstance by David Burke. Blurton, number 24, to do the crumbing. Can't break away. Pike, quick hands to Bell. Left foot kick by Bell, in towards full forward. Knocked away by James from McKernan. Play call to go on. McKernan goes back. Welsh's left foot kick lands the ball in the danger zone as far as the Tigers are concerned. Durkay has performed the miraculous. It's been touched by Rogers. Desperate play. Umpire in a great spot. Touched over for a behind kick by Durkay.
See, I thought Durkay had done the miraculous there. He virtually stole it off the two Tiger defenders, and it looked like he'd kicked the goal. Here's the ball now. He steals it off the two Richmond defenders who couldn't quite work out who was going to take the mark. Kicked it over his head. Now, this must be very, very close on the line. I'm sorry, that's a goal.
You're a forward talking, Jason.
Well, if you reckon he touched that short, I'm not here.
Ball hit the goal line and bounced through for a goal, but given a point. Campbell gets it.
Good little kick by Blurton, Bruce.
He's had some pretty good moments tonight. He's missed an easy goal or two. Campbell's floater, mark taken by Grant, has had a very good game. Again, the Tigers a bit sluggish at the early stages of this term. Stevens. North playing the percentages a lot better than the Tigers. Centre wing, Scholl. Good mark, a couple of important touches in this term to Simpson. Simpson goes to McKernan. He's going to be their target. He's pushed out. Gasper, Durkay, or rather Kellaway. Welsh off the ground, goal. Welsh kicks the goal. His third. They're pinching this, aren't they?
Has this match turned around, Bruce? And who knows, maybe it's going to be Craig Scholl again that provides that spark of inspiration. He took a fantastic one-armed mark off the ground, fed the ball off again. The kick came in. It looked like McKernan may have been taken under the ball. Durkay battling with Kellaway, and that's just as clean as a whistle off the ground. A fantastic goal.
I think Corey McKernan was just trying to pinch a free kick, Jason. I really don't think he was pushed, just tried to grab one.
Well, the Kangaroos fans, early in the last term, plenty to shout about. Their side now leads this game by 7 points. Well done by Ottens, down to Knights. The Knights a high kick, bit of an up and under. Big punch by Pickett. Goes back towards the centre. Gathered here by Ottens. Ottens goes down the ground into the pocket. No mark. The ball spills to the back. Evans and Archer. Gee, was no love lost there between those two players. The ball knocked over for a throw-in.
Robbo, just for the Kangaroos, we've got Harvey on the bench, Rawlings and Corcoran, and also Lang.
Thanks, Dipper, as the boundary umpire will throw it in about 40 metres around from the Richmond goal. Holland doing the ruck work. Simpson to take it away from the congestion. Martin gives away a little bit of meterage. Pickett, well done. Gets good ground with his kick there and forces a throw in about 85 to 90 metres around from the Richmond goal.
And for Richmond, Robbo, we've got Rory Hilton, Mark Dragozevic, Stephen McKee and Paul Broderick.
Thanks, Dipper. 90 to 83. Kangas in front. Longmire. Ottens. Ottens has been winning most of them. Well read by Simpson. Simpson kicks to half forward. Welsh is a high flyer. Burke front spot. Good contest. Gasper had an airy, tried to kick off the ground, had a second go. Burke butters up, hands and knees to Chaffee. Chaffee was smothered. Gasper, well done, Abraham, brilliantly done, and then was held on to. Tried to get a free kick. Scott goes off the ground, kicks it out on the fall. Richmond's kick, more off, Broderick on. Tigers ringing a change or two. Being tested now, the Tigers.
You'd have to see them kicking the next goal if they're to win, I think.
James. Centre wing, Ottens a target. Longmire with him. Did Ottens push him? He did.
Yes. It was very, very subtle, Bruce, but I think Ottens did just enough to make sure John Longmire couldn't contest the mark.
Longmire goes long. McKernan's the
kick.
target. Got him. McKernan pushed out.
Yes.
Rogers getting back is Powell. Powell's got Knight short. He blasts and blazes, actually. Out wide. He had Knight short and he refused to go there. And the ball goes out of play about 75 metres from the Kangaroos' goal. A few more matchups. North have got a taste here.
Adam Simpson has been good for the Kangaroos. 17 kicks, 5 hand passes. He's effected a tackle. The ball may go forward here. Rombotis. Bit of an up and under, and it's been marked by Clayton. Now, that was...
Well, I
there's
think it's got to be...
Nothing in that.
Well, he's taken the ground, so one would think that it should be a 50. If there was, it's late, it's very late, takes him to the ground. That's a 50-metre penalty.
Well, it doesn't matter because the kick came in and it's been marked by McKernan. So Corey McKernan standing up in a tight situation in the last quarter in this game that looks very much like a must-win for the Kangaroos. In this position now, if they can't go on with it, gee whiz, you'd ask a few questions. McKernan, they lead by 7 points. He can stretch it to 13, and we see the angle. It is about 45 degrees. Shot at goal by McKernan, off to the right. Registers one behind. 2 goals, 1 to Corey McKernan. He did miss one in the second term. He missed it completely. So 2-1 and 1 out of bounds on the full as James kicks to himself.
And gets it to almost centre wing. Tigers need something here. They're really struggling. Bell. John, just a moment, back to Knights. Do you think the umpire ever looks at the offender? Because Knights has such a clean record.
And that
was 50 metres, definitely.
That's right. I was going to say that, Bruce. You would like to think that... I mean, Matthew Knights is a great player and a great ball player, but there was no doubt that on that occasion he wasted time and it should have been a 50-metre penalty.
Boundary throw in, Longmire front spot. Clayton brought to ground, again a boundary throw in.
So in answer to your specific question, I would certainly hope that the umpires don't take the character of the player into account. Here we see the mark taken by Clayton. Matty Knights comes in and just takes him to the ground. Nothing violent in it, but just does enough to make sure that that Clayton can't run on.
Rombotis, Ottens, Campbell did pretty well actually, and then Broderick gets good distance to centre wing. Front spot, Blurton read it well off Richardson, then gets cute, but does it nicely there. He had the Knights released on his left, didn't use him. Richo might wind himself up here and give it everything he's got. He does. It's floating, floating, floating. Mickey forces it through. Gee, a little gift to Knights on the run there. I reckon might have been the option. Martin did well. And you've got to say, we've been critical of the North defence prior to the match and during the first quarter and a half. They've stood up well since then.
In particular, their leaders, Glenn Archer and Mickey Martin.
Has he ever been displaced in that situation, Jason, Mickey Martin?
I don't
We'll come back to that to have a comment later. Durkay's taken a good mark.
Have a go.
He's 55 metres from goal. Oh, it's a good kick. It's a brilliant kick into the path of Clayton.
I thought he might have a long shot for goal, Robert, because it was totally vacant, the goal square. And I thought if he could land it in the 10-yard square, it had bounced through. But he actually summed it up very, very well. He had Shane Clayton running forward. He weighted the kick beautifully. And now Clayton's got, I guess, 30 yards out on a 45-degree angle. Should kick the goal.
Well, you can see there in the background, well, that doesn't really give you much of an idea, but you can see that the goal square in the background when he took the mark tells you that he's a lot closer to the boundary line than he is to directly in front of goal. So it's not an easy angle.
And that's the thing to do. If you're not sure of the mark, pull up short and ask the umpire, because he will come in and tell you where the mark is.
And the Tigers fans are upset, but that's reasonable for Shane Clayton, as you say, Jace, to just confirm where it is so he doesn't leave himself short.
Going for goal number 2. Can make the margin 13 points. He's hooked it a bit. Missed. 8 points in favour of the Kangaroos.
He had Wilkes in the goal square on his own a few moments ago. Gee, McKernan and Clayton have let them off, haven't they?
My word.
Tigers can't buy a goal. James, floater, Welch and Burke. They go to ground. Powell, an important ball because he was outnumbered. Back into the centre. Broderick held his ground. Norfolk got a chance. Through Scott. Gets a quick kick to the pocket. Boundary throw in. Left forward pocket. Kangaroos attacking as they're doing for most of this last quarter. Tiger bench. Kangaroos have been able to raise the tempo here, and the Tigers have not responded yet. McKee has been good. Off the interchange, coming in, lays it down to Burke. Burke's little left footer. Campbell went to the front. Simpson, it fell into his arms. He has been good, Simpson. 23rd possession. Kicks back to centre half forward. Kangaroos everywhere. They couldn't claim it though in the end. A high tackle on Blakey, not paid.
Certainly, as you called it, Bruce, a high tackle on John Blakey, but it was on our side of the pack, the umpire on the other side of the pack.
So ball up, 35 metres from goal. Blakey with a wry smile. What a great player he's been. 84 to 92. Next goal, absolutely critical in the context of who'll win the match. Kellaway can't get it through. Has a second go. Quick hands over the top. That was good play. Rob Botus has been disappointing. Kicks the ball to centre wing. Richardson manhandled a bit. Here's the chance. Campbell onto it now. Can they do something constructive? Campbell 70 metres from goal. Pops it up to full forward. Wants a big mark. Martin and Holland. Ball comes to ground. Kangaroos have numbers. Archer was good. Very good. Stevens playing back to McCartney in his 100th match. Bangs the ball back into the centre. McKee sets himself. Ball comes to ground. Belted back by Simpson. Bell doesn't get that far. Bowden back to Rogers. Rogers out wide. Daffy has been quiet early in this term. Has got the ball about 80 metres from goal. Daffy's kicked to Blurton. It's got him. He's 50 metres out. Long way from home. Good shot there of where Blurton is. Missed a couple of sitters really in the second quarter. The Tigers need something big to happen from this attack. 12-12 to 14-8. Not sure if he can get the distance. He won't. Kicks to the goal square. Holland, Martin, Archer runs it out. Boundary throw in left forward pocket.
Gee, it's amazing, isn't it? Now there is just no real score from kicks that just go to the front of the goal square. It really has to be set up further down the ground. Longmire gets it out. Powell snapshot for goal. No mark taken there by Richardson. McCartney manning up presently on Matthew Richardson. Good crowd here tonight or for this Friday night match. 46,173. It's been a beautiful day in Melbourne. Magnificent night for football as we watch Peter Bell try and clear the full back line for the Kangaroos. Mickey Martin sprawls himself on the turf as he watches it go over for a boundary throw in.
Robbo, North Melbourne are flooding the Tiger forward line. No one forward of centre for the Roos.
That's an interesting point that you've made there, Mark, as Grant gathers. Stevens kick, well, that was fortunate. Simpson to Pike, and Pike clears, but only as far out wide as Rogers. Gee, I think Harvey might have just come onto the ground, hasn't he?
Yeah, spot on, Robbo. He just came on the ground and Rogers didn't know he was behind him, but all worked out well.
Abraham, the player to take his place on the bench for Brent Harvey. Steve McKee, Corey McKernan to do the ruck work on centre wing, right where the players' interchange area is here at the MCG.
Inside the last 10 minutes, so plenty of time, but the Tigers haven't managed a goal in the last term. McKernan forward. They've got numbers, Richmond. Take your pick, James or Burke. James doesn't time it. McKernan's hands. Pike's handball forward. Scholl holds onto it for a while. Back to Pike. Was able to get away from the tackle. Squeezes it. Bouncing ball. Gasper's handball. Broderick's handball. Over the top. Knights has got it. He's got a couple running. Not really a good option. Gets it back to Knights though. 90 metres from goal. Goes towards full forward. Ottens can't quite get there. Archer's been terrific. Archer down the line to Blakey. Blakey at half back. Belts it to half forward. Grants his target. Terrific mark. He's a skillful player, this fellow. Highly skilled. 70 metres from goal. He's also a long kick. He's almost within distance. This will bring the joint to a stand if he can goal. Doesn't quite. It was a big play. It's a behind. Problem for Richmond is at about 60 metres, they don't know what to do anymore. Archer and Martin have got the big fellas tied up at the back.
They need a crummer down there. They're getting the chances down on the full forward line, but no one to pick up anything that comes off the pack. James runs outside his defensive 50. He's had two bounces, Aaron James. He gets the kick away, down towards half forward, punched away by Bell. disciplined football there on Chaffee. Chaffee had had quite a few possessions up until three-quarter time, something like 20. He still had 26, so he's been a pretty good player, Mark Chaffee, for the Tigers. Peter Bell, he's been a goal kicker for the Kangaroos, just the one. Longmire and McKee. Longmire down, gathered by Pickett. Handball left behind there by Stevens. Unfortunately for Chaffee, it's chopped off by Pike. Pike's kick goes back towards half-forward. Awkward bounce here. The Tigers just pounce on it. Knights, Robert Scott, out the back, McKernan, off the ground. Gets it into the forward 50. Back goes Callaway. Down the line goes Duncan Callaway. He was falling as he hand-passed the ball away. So the advantage is given to Callaway in that situation. And it will be a throw-in. About 30 metres around from the Kangaroos' goal. A real chance for them to add to their lead. It is, at the moment, 9 points in favour of the Kangaroos. McKee down to Knights. Brilliant ruck work by McKee. Knights into the middle of the ground to the advantage of Dragicevic. In towards the middle. Well gathered there by Blurton. They've got to get something out of this, and they will. Richardson has taken the mark 50 metres from goal. It's the only real chance that Matthew Richardson has had for quite a while. He goes in towards full forward, and a good mark, a strong mark taken by young Ottens on his chest, and he is in scoring range. He has kicked 3.
Become a real danger man for the Kangaroos. Always a little bit worried about Matthew Richardson when he short passes. He does it off one step. It wasn't a particularly good kick. It wobbled a bit, but it was in the right spot. Gee, that sort of fell into his arms at the end, but fortune favours the brave. He was in front, he leapt for the ball, he took it. And if he can finish now and kick his 4th goal, he'll really give the Tigers some hope here.
Well, 3 goals from just 7 kicks for Brad Ottens. It'd be a good return, wouldn't it? 4 from 8. And really, in the context of this match, 7 minutes left. A must goal. Man on the mark's about 30 metres out. Oh, great kick by Brad Ottens. He's kicked 4. The Tigers to within 3 points of the Kangaroos. 46,000 screaming fans at the MCG, and we've got another tight one. The football's been terrific so far in season 99.
He certainly is a confident kick of the ball. It was a good leap. Well, maybe a little bit fortunate. The ball hit his head and then rolled down into his arms, but gee, he looks confident when he stands over the ball. And it was a very, very good kick from 40 metres.
McKee's a bit strung up. Ottens has kicked a goal in every quarter.
Corey back in the ruck, Bruce, and Longmire off the ground now.
Thanks, Devon Lane came on for Longmire. Grandstand finish now. McKee and McKernan. McKernan probably won it. Clayton. Tackle against Broderick. Clayton's free kick. Defensive side of the centre square. 2 centre-half forward. Scholl was pushed underneath it. Bouncing ball at the back. Scott with some pace. Was he held up? Onto it, Durkhe's had a terrific second half. Clever kick by Durkhe. Just misses. He's kicked 2-3 since half-time. And he's given the Kangaroos another dimension as they go forward. Done most of the scoring in this last quarter.
Again, the Kangaroos go man-to-man for the kick-out, and it's really not working for them.
Burke decides not to go on. Now he does. A long high kick to centre wing. Campbell, well done against Simpson. They both have plenty of the footy tonight, those two. Campbell to centre half forward. Holland is his target. He's outnumbered. Martin belts it at the back. It's been trapped. Long kick by Powell. It's Ottens again. He's got it. No. Hit to ground. This will be important. Archer manhandles him very well and then runs off him. Archer blasts his way out of the back. Again outnumbered here, the Kangas. Grant pushed in the back. Play on. Going to Knights. Knights has handball inboard. Daffy over the top. High ball to full forward. Martin in the front spot. It wasn't a particularly good kick by Daffy. In fact, they didn't structure it very well, did they?
They didn't at all, but Martin and Archer have been absolutely sensational when the heat is on in this game.
Nick Daffy maybe just losing his position there. He perhaps had a half a yard to spare.
He's tired, Robbo, he's tired.
Yeah, perhaps that's the case, Bruce. Peter Bell with the football. He's between left half back and left centre wing. His kick will land the ball close to half forward. Craig Scholl to punch away from Gasper.
I'm just watching
the bench.
Sorry, I'm just watching Daffy here. He's just grabbed his right hamstring there, so keep an eye on him. It was obviously a very tight game, and a lot of running still to go.
Kangaroos by 4 points. The play just forward of centre wing, favouring the Kangaroos. Scott's kick was well marked by Simpson, was it? Got the hand pass away. No, it might have been Shannon Grant. Now Durkay. At full forward, Gary Durkay going for goal number 3. Bouncing ball is a goal. 3 goals to Durkay. He's played his part. Because it's been a tight match, they've only kicked 15.
I'll stick my neck out, Robbo. I think Gary Durkay should have been penalised for a push in the back then. I mean, he certainly just pushed Callaway out of the way.
Just took him under the ball. He took him under the ball, as we can see it coming in here. Got rid of his opponent. What I liked about the kick is he didn't worry about the distance. He didn't try and blast it through post high. He knew what he was doing. He chipped it into the goal square and let it run through.
Here it is here.
Oh, I've got no problem.
Just the end of the replay. I think John's first thoughts it was a free kick, but on the replay, he didn't really give him much of a shove, and Callaway went to ground. This will be hard for the Tigers now. Durkay has been a very big player in the second half. He's had 6 shots for goal in the second half and kicked 3. Kangaroos 10 points in front, deep into this last quarter. McKee and McKernan. McKernan couldn't quite. Broderick, well done by Powell, who's pretty fresh. A bounce, then goes out wide. Got a lead here. Front spot Ottens, worked underneath it. Daffy and Bell. Bell running it over the line deliberately, but gee, you couldn't ping him. Boundary throw in. Daffy is tired. He's a sharpshooter though, he might be able to get his hands on it. They need something good to happen here. Ottens, Campbell, it's a real struggle, and the Kangaroos are holding it up. It's a lot of experience back there, and some strong bodies. Edge of the seat stuff now, particularly if you're a Tiger fan, because I reckon you would have been counting the 4 points almost at stages in this match. If they can't win tonight, there'll be serious doubts about their ability against quality opposition. Simpson, Bell, Knight's terrific to work to the front. Couldn't get rid of it. They've been onto him quickly, and that's wonderful play by North. The Kangas attacked the captain of the Tigers quickly there, after Knights had done a good job to hold the ball.
It's been tremendous all night, Matty Knights. Really was gang tackled when he got his hands on the ball here. They were all around him.
Outside 50. Richmond in attack. Broderick. Martin. Still Mickey. Slung as he kicks. Forced down the line. McKernan pushes forward. They're just doing the little things, the Kangas, at the moment. McKee goes to ground. Hamble. It's out of play.
Precious seconds being soaked up too, aren't there? 3.5 minutes left, and Richmond need 2 goals to win the match. Of course, they must keep the Kangaroos goalless. Burke's hand pass, Campbell's hand pass. Moore through the middle of the ground. He ran his required distance. He puts the Kangaroos' defence under pressure, but there was no pressure, was there? Stevens kicks it out wide. Good mark taken by Blakey. Runs away, still running hard, John Blakey. The kick towards full foot. Absolutely clean ball. Callaway, Durkay, chance here for Powell. He was the only one who bent down and wanted to gather the football with his hands, and then got the kick away to Burke. He's got to hold it up. There's no one really to kick to. Now he goes down the line and finds Richardson. Not a lot of run in Nick Daffy's legs. Chaffee trying to get back to give him something to kick to. Where are the Crummers? They've gone forward in this mode a couple of times. Good mark to Holland, not paid. Grant to Martin. Martin's kick slews off the side of his boot. Important possession now. The Tigers must get this. Callaway does. Powell spins out of trouble. He must put this on the chest of a teammate. The kicker towards full forward. No mark again. The crumbs gathered by the North Melbourne Kangaroo defenders. Martin stands up grandly and gets it away to Grant. He in turn goes to Pickett, and the Kangaroos seem to have the answers.
Comes in short to Blakey. All of those players that have touched it late have been terrific. Grant's played some sort of a match. A bounce, then a little one. to Clayton. Half volley, Chaffee onto him.
Well done.
Grant again, running hard. Richardson with him now. He's got more inside if he can get it to him. Well played, Grant. Huge effort from the back pocket to half forward.
Very, very good play from Shannon Grant. He initially had to kick short because he didn't have a long option on. When the pass didn't come off cleanly, he followed it up, kicked it off the ground, and then ensured the ball was taken over the boundary line.
Well, they look like winners, the Kangas. We're late into it now. Grant, it'll be a ball out.
No, too late. When he's got one arm free, he's still there's an obligation on him to attempt to kick, Bruce, and he didn't. So very tired Shannon Grant just gave it up.
Must goal from this attack, the Tigers, and they won't. McCartney in his 100th match takes a big mark, and the Kangaroos are looking very good here. McCartney with cramp.
The old cramp. Doesn't this come up always at crucial stages?
Gotta believe a bloke in his 100th. Gee, Richmond are going to be savage on themselves, I reckon, tonight.
Kick long to the boundary.
Does. McKernan a target. McKee did a good job. Powell's had a good last quarter. Fresher legs than some of his teammates. To Daffy. Daffy in the direction of Knights. And also Campbell. Campbell's quick kick is out on the ball. And I reckon that is the ball game.
And Nick Daffy did grab his hamstring again, Bruce, after that kick, so maybe he has done it, as Dipper said.
Kangaroos keeping possession of the ball. Short kick back has been taken by Anthony Stevens. He's soaking up time. He's at left half back. Now decides to get good distance with the kick. Lands the ball at half forward. Nearly the mark there to McKernan.
Oh.
Hacked off the ground and then forced away from that by Martin Pike.
That all probably should be commented on. That certainly did look like a kick likely to cause injury, and that's what they're told to pay. It's not just kicking in a manner in danger, it's kicking in a manner likely to cause injury, and that was.
So McKee still working hard, but Bell there to gather. Left foot kick by Peter Bell. Lands the ball close to half forward. Terrific effort by Scott. He was 1 against 3. Gasper to Campbell. Last surge forward for the Tigers. Less than a minute left. Up high. Is that a mark? No, not paid to Matthew Richardson. And it spills over for a throw-in. Just seconds remaining in the game. So the Tigers have given it their all. A couple of missed chances earlier in the game, particularly by Blurton. I know it's easy to single one person out, but he ran into an open goal on 2 occasions and missed both of them. And they're going to lose this game by less than 2 goals.
But really, they had the match set up, didn't they? Long after that, Robbo, they were in the driver's seat for much of this second half, and they haven't been able to finish them off. This is a good win for the Kangaroos. A really big effort. Undermanned, but they've come back to win. Gasper. That's it. The Kangaroos are on the board. A character-building win. Well, I reckon if you're a Richmond player, that's going to hurt tonight.
I'm sure at some stage later in the year, Bruce, they'll look back and wonder how they